Bangkok Airways pilot sat in his aircraft and filmed what looks like dozens of people exiting a plane. Passengers are seen towing their luggage through a connecting bridge, except this jet bridge was empty. It wasn't connected to a plane, leaving viewers completely baffled as to where the ghostly passengers were coming from. The footage is chilling, and hauntingly, the figures appear to be floating, not walking. The pilot posted the video online, and it sparked a debate.
What's up, Seekers? Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, we break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikToks to IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank the Seekers, man, who's been tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, hitting that like button, man. We guys are growing the community together. Really appreciate that, man. Like I said, I changed the volume, so let me know if you guys can hear the videos even better, man. With each and every video I'm trying to do, get the settings right for you guys. Found this video for you guys today. Seek the truth, Seekers.
Facts about the ocean that are scarier than any horror movie. First up, I bet you didn't know that you can literally melt in the ocean. Because in the deep sea, there's something called hydrothermal vents that can reach up to 750 degrees Fahrenheit, which will allegedly cause your body to melt. But by then, you probably wouldn't even notice because all your bones would have likely been crushed by the pressure. The next fact is honestly even scarier to think about. You know how we have so many scary stories about sea creatures, like sirens, the Loch Ness Monster, or giant squids? Well, a lot of the creatures that used to be just a story are slowly being discovered as real. For example, the giant squid, which scientists found were not only real and over 59 feet in length, but are also cannibals. If that's not bad enough, here's more. Because the ocean is basically a giant graveyard. In 2014, researchers diving into an underwater cave in Mexico found the remains of a girl estimated to be 13,000 years old, meaning there's a high likelihood that if you go missing or drown that you would probably never be found. There's also 10 million viruses in every drop of seawater, meaning viruses in the ocean outnumber all of the stars in the Milky Way. The actual number is estimated to be 1 nonillion, which is a number I've never heard before, but here it is written out. That itself makes me never want to go swimming in the ocean again. Follow for more. Photos.
What the hell? One nonillion? Learn new stuff every day, man, watching these videos with you guys. As I said, tap in with us. Those facts about the sea, those are just scary. I can't believe there's more viruses like in the sea than there's stars in the Milky Way. If you think about it, that's freaking mind-blowing. 1 million. We love our lands.
Lots of people before and after they went missing. Number 1, Riker Webb. Riker Webb went missing and was found 4 days later on his own in a completely rural area. Number 2, Brenda Heist. Brenda Heist went missing for 11 years. Daughter, family, everybody sent search parties looking for this woman, and 11 years later she turned up looking like this. Steve Carter. Now this is an interesting one. Steve Carter was searching an online forum when he came across a missing child case. He realised that the child was him. Imagine finding this out online as a grown adult. If you like anything weird, scary, or a little bit creepy, please support my channel by giving me a follow.
That last story.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 19. Facebook was forced to shut down 2 artificial intelligence robots named Alice and Bob because they started communicating with one another in their own language. If you ever win the lottery, you're 120 times more likely to be killed by an immediate family member. A sloth has nipples in its armpits. In the 17th century, there was a man named Tare who could eat his entire body weight in just one sitting. And despite being pretty skinny, he would swallow live animals, eat human corpses, and was even accused of eating the body of a 3-year-old toddler. An 11-year-old boy named Konarak escaped Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment, but was later returned to Dahmer by police, and he killed the boy just 30 minutes after. It's commonly believed in religion that angels look like this, but according to the Bible, they actually look like this.
6 things you didn't know.
Those things we learn, Seekers, man. Especially about the part about the winning the lottery. I didn't even know that was a like known statistic, known fact. It goes to show you, Seekers, man. Once you get that money, you instantly become a target, man. It doesn't matter if it's friend, family. You just gotta watch out who you be around because you're the target. You're the biggest, I guess, threat in the room. Damn. I think about that guy who can eat his whole body weight in the city. It's old stories, man, that I'm just not hearing.
Know about the pocong and where you can find them in Singapore. Before we start, let's talk about the story behind the pocong. Pocong is one of the most infamous ghosts in Malay mythology. Pocong is the soul of a deceased person who is doomed to roam the earth due to unfinished business. According to Malay funeral practices, the body has to be tied in several places to keep the body intact. When the body is put into the grave, the knots are usually removed. According to Malay belief, the soul usually stays in earth for 40 days. So when the knots are not removed, the soul gets stuck in the body and jumps out of the grave as a pocong. The first thing you didn't know about a pocong is that they can age. If the pocong has a body of a person who died recently, the pocong will look young. And if the pocong has a body of a person who died long ago, the pocong will look old. Number 2, pocongs don't walk, they hop like a rabbit. Since the knots on their feet are not removed when they are buried, they can't walk, so they hop. Sometimes they even roll around in the ground. Number 3, pocongs are also known as vampires because they love to drink blood. They do so to absorb the life force of a person to feel more energetic. Number 4, pocongs have the ability to teleport anywhere, but their most common place is to be under a banana tree. Number 5, the red pocong is the most aggressive kind of pocong. This pocong will attack even without being provoked, and since they are very aggressive, they are known to be the leaders of pocongs. Number 6, apparently if you hug a pocong, you'll have a luxurious life. If you hug a pocong, you might untie their knots, thus releasing their soul. Thus, out of gratefulness, they will reward you with enormous wealth. Most common sightings of a pocong were reported at Bukit Batok, so all you Westsiders stay safe.
Pocongs. We're going to dive deep into that, man. See some more of the history of those. They can teleport too? We believe that? Fact or cap?
Interesting facts you didn't know. The last one will shock you. There are only 2 people alive who know the recipe of Coca-Cola, and they aren't allowed to travel on the same plane in case it crashes. Did you know that TikTok knows who has a crush on you? Your secret admirer is the second person that appears when you click on share than WhatsApp. Research shows that most dog owners would rather hang out with their dogs instead of other people. There is no single comment under this video with 0 likes. People who like the smell of gasoline, nail polish, and acetone have a very strong tendency to do drugs. Before passing away, Albert Einstein said a few words in German. The only person to listen was a nurse who didn't speak German. If you comment evil, you will unlock a new secret TikTok emoji. Remember to use the brackets with small letter. There is a species of jellyfish that is biologically immortal. This means that it can theoretically live forever as long as it doesn't get eaten or injured. The world's oldest piece of gum is 9,000 years old, and it was found in Sweden. And now, before the last fact, support us by pressing the plus button for more interesting content every day. The probability of you drinking a glass of water with molecules that have passed through a dinosaur is almost 100%.
10 facts you didn't know that could save your life.
Crazy.
If your house ever smells like fish for no reason, 9 times out of 10, it's because there's an electrical fire. If you're in a foreign country and you need to call for help, but you don't know the emergency number, call 112 and it'll automatically connect you to the nearest helpline. If a tornado looks like it's not moving, it's actually moving towards you. If you ever wake up to the smell of gas, don't turn on a light. The spark from the light switch could blow up your entire house. Lying flat on your back is the best way to survive a falling elevator. If your hair ever stands up, duck and cover because you're about to be struck by lightning. If you ever fall off the edge onto the tracks, don't try and crawl back up. There's a crawl space built to go underneath in case this happens. If a deer runs across the road, it's better to hit it than swerve into the ditch. But if it's a moose, then it's better to swerve into the ditch. Because hitting a moose is like hitting a brick wall. Even if you have no service, you can still dial 911. In an emergency, your phone will connect to the nearest tower. If you ever get kidnapped into the back of a vehicle, disconnect the brake light wires so the cops will pull them over. Then kick on the door to let them know that you're there.
That's just in facts. You're gonna have to write those down.
This footage will blow your mind. A Bangkok Airways pilot sat in his aircraft and filmed what looks like dozens of people exiting a plane. Passengers are seen towing their luggage through a connecting bridge, except this jet bridge was empty. It wasn't connected to a plane, leaving viewers completely baffled as to where the ghostly passengers were coming from. The footage is chilling, and hauntingly, the figures appear to be floating, not walking. The pilot posted the video online, and it sparked a debate. Some say this is just an optical illusion. Others believe these figures are ghosts, spirits caught on film. So ghosts or an optical illusion? What do we think?
Ghosts to optical illusions. I mean, it's an optical illusion. There's a lot of people, man. Ghosts? Could be that. Could it be, like I said, an edited video or something? We don't know. Those type of videos, man, it always get to me, though. Those are chilling, bro. Very weird. It's because you don't have an explanation to explain that. You have to dive deeper to that one. Anybody who can find out, tell me down below, man. Like I said, Factor Cap.
Scary moments in nature caught on camera.
Hold your pee. That's what it said. Don't hold
Avoid
it.
possible contamination from the air. Please keep shelter in your residence until further notice. If you are a resident of King County, please stand by for further updates.
I don't have a dog. What the hell is that? You don't have a dog. Skinwalker? The
Smile Dog is a demon that pretends to be a real dog. Legend says that if you see a picture of Smile Dog, he'll come get you while you're sleeping. And the only way to prevent this is to show the picture to someone else. So send this video to everybody you know. Full story coming tomorrow.
Smile
Everyday
Dog.
things you didn't know. The purpose of part 2. 1. The headrest in your vehicle. Although the main reason you have this item in your car is pretty obvious, but there is a hidden use for these that you might need to save your life one day. If you ever get into an accident and can't get out of the car, take the headrest off to break the window with the metal legs.
Oh.
2. The little hole in your padlock. Many people think this is where the lock could be picked from, but actually, it is only for you to oil up the lock when it starts to get a little rusty and old. 3. The tiny buttons on your jeans. These are known as rivets and they're attached to your jeans at parts that have a high probability of tearing apart from strain or movement.
Oh.
At least, now you will value those tiny buttons and know what's keeping those pairs of jeans in your wardrobe for a longer time.
I've always wondered what those were for.
Let's see if you have thalassophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. If you feel too uncomfortable to make it to the 5th photo, then you could have thalassophobia. So let's go. First one. How about this?
I'm still good.
Feeling uneasy yet?
I'm good.
Almost there. Last one. If those images made you feel uneasy, then you may have thalassophobia, which is the fear of deep bodies of water. So let me know if you discovered a new phobia down below.
Yeah.
Crazy
I
did
do.
you know fact of other senses to tell when something is wet.
Really?
This video will prove
Thalassophobia. We already proved we don't have it.
Fun
Did you guys
facts
pass that?
that might scare you.
Oh, I gotta get in on this. The freshwater snail has parasites attached to it, and when you enter the same water as the freshwater snail, the parasites will seek you out, go inside you, and usually that's fatal. There's a crocodile that's eaten over 200 people, and he's still out there in the wild. Eventually, the sun will consume the entire solar system, and there's nothing we can do about it. This is the largest species of hornet in the world. They're from Japan, they are highly aggressive, they have a very painful sting, and somehow they made their way to the United States. The FDA actually allows a certain amount of fruit flies and fruit fly eggs in some of our food.
Fun fact, in 2021,
What?
43 camels were disqualified from the Camel Beauty Contest at the King Abdulaziz Festival in Saudi Arabia. Handlers will inject the camels' faces with Botox, silicone, and other fillers to make the lips longer and droopier and also make the nose bigger, and handlers will also use rubber bands to limit blood flow to certain body parts to enhance their appearance, as well as injecting the camels with hormones to make the hump larger, rounder, and more shapely. 27 contestants were disqualified for body part stretching, and another 16 were disqualified for having received injections. Camel breeding is a multi-million-dollar industry, and the King Abdulaziz Camel Beauty Contest is no joke, with $66 million in prize money up for grabs. The Camel Club, who organizes the event, have taken a hardline approach on handlers who are participating in unnatural camel beautification. In order to detect cheating, each camel is examined both physically and clinically, x-rayed, looked over with a 3D ultrasound device, and finally, they test the camel's blood and conduct a genetic analysis.
I didn't know camel breeding was a $66 million industry. Who knew? What the hell? And they going through the same. They do the same things as us humans do, man. Go through the process of trying to look better. I can't believe even Edwards have to go through that. The more you know. It's like you truly can't escape that, man. Just working on like fixing up yourself. The animals have a process, humans is just like it goes all around. Where you at?
A fisherman just got video proof of the Loch Ness Monster for the first time. Just 3 days ago, a local fisherman from New York named Lucas Steele went out fishing on Lake Ontario, but what he would find that day he'll never forget. He was out on the water as he is every Saturday trying to get a big catch. The biggest fish he had ever caught was a 41-pound Chinook salmon, and he was hoping to one day find 148 pounds, which would break the record. He was fishing for 45 minutes without any luck, but then suddenly something huge caught onto his fishing line. This was a monster of a fish. He battled with this beast for an hour before finally pulling it up. This was a 47-pound Chinook salmon. He was overjoyed and was ready to head back, but suddenly he saw something in the distance that resembled a sea serpent with a long neck and moved quickly through the water. Lucas Steele's interest peaked and quickly turned his boat engine on and moved over the area. He didn't see anything for a few minutes, but then he saw something pop up out of the water. This was the Loch Ness Monster, and it was massive. It was 15 feet tall and at least 50 feet long. He was astonished and quickly took out his phone to take pictures and videos. People tried to tell him not to publish the video, but as of yesterday, he just released it. To see the footage, save this video, then press share, then more, then click on photos, or comment Nessie in all caps under this video.
Which of these facts is the hardest to believe? Squirrels lose more than half of the nuts that they hide. Our eyes are always the same from birth, but our nose and ears never stop growing. It will take 1 hour to drive to space. The second person you see when you click share on WhatsApp is your soulmate. Humans have jumped further than horses in the Olympics. T-shirts were originally made for unmarried men who didn't know how to sew buttons on collared shirts. On average, a baby can cost new parents up to 750 hours of sleep. What's more? It's true, time gets faster as we age. This graph shows how we perceive time as we get older. According to this, we experience over 70% of our perceived life by the time we turn 21, with everything until age 5 comprising almost 50% of our whole lives. So why doesn't it feel like turning 5 was the halfway point of our life so far? Well, first of all, we don't start forming stable memories until about age 3 to 4, so those years have been pretty much wiped clean. Secondly, as we age, each additional year becomes a smaller and smaller percentage of how many years we've lived so far. So each year that goes by becomes a smaller and smaller sliver of our total lives. For example, at age 50, an entire year is just 2% of your total life. Meanwhile, back when you were 10, 2% of your life was only about 2.5 months. So technically, 2.5 months to a 10-year-old should feel about the same as an entire year would to a 50-year-old. Time doesn't actually move faster as you age. Your brain just has limited storage space. About 2,500 terabytes to be exact, which seems like a lot, but it actually fills up pretty quick considering that we're basically recording a never-ending video into our memories in 16K or whatever resolution reality is. And each year, your brain needs to choose which memories to delete in order to make room for new ones. Meaning, as we age, we slowly forget the most significant memories of our lives, making us feel like we got to where we are today faster than we actually did. While every additional year that goes by feels like a less and less significant portion of our total timeline, causing life to zip by at supersonic speed by the time we hit like 30. Curious to know, what age is your earliest memory from?
Scary moments in me.
Nah, he was spitting. I guess how we perceive time as we get older. How it really just goes by. It's like it's more quicker. Cause sometimes I do maybe have to recall, sometimes my earlier memories. It's the earliest memory I could think of. I could really think and go back. See, damn it. It's hard. I'm trying to do it right now. I only have to think. Damn. You was spitting, bro.
Nature caught on camera.
I can't even recall it right now. See, because I think I think the earliest memory is probably like when I was maybe like 4 or 5 when we had like a whole bunch, we had the dog and they had like a whole bunch of puppies. I remember going to a room. That's like the earliest memory I can think of right now. The more he said, yeah, I'm about to say, the more he was talking in that video, the more it was kind of clicking in my head. Whew, all right. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I really appreciate that, man. Like I said, I changed the volume for you guys, man. Like I said, so hopefully you guys can hear the video even way clearer now. I'm cutting back on my like talking, as you guys can see the past couple of videos. I'm trying to we're trying to grow this community to something big. I know we can, so thank you guys for sticking with me and supporting the channel. Some changes are coming, man. Like I said, might coming soon. You guys can catch you in the next video. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, we break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, man. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank you guys who's been tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that like button, hitting that post notification bell. You guys are growing a community together. I appreciate the support. Let's do what we do best. Let's seek the truth.
This woman lured a man into a treehouse, seduced him, and then stabbed him to present his dead body to her boyfriend as a gift. Julia Enright, pictured here, killed Brandon Chickless, who was a previous boyfriend of hers, because she wanted to present his body as some sort of strange gift to her boyfriend at the time. Brandon was stabbed over 10 times, and Julia's boyfriend at the time also had a hand in helping dispose of his body. There were many things that Julia said caused this to happen, like her fascination with Marilyn Manson and the fact that she was a dominatrix. There were also entries in a journal that she had where she was admitting to having a need or a want to kill another person. Julia worked as a phlebotomist, so she was not squeamish around blood, as she said in court. She was found guilty of his murder and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Watch you get to a relationship with.
Have you heard about this foreign streaming service that people are claiming is like the darkest? I don't know about you, but the scariest TV shows and movies are almost always foreign. And I recently found this Nordic streaming service that was not available in the US. But now it is, and it has some true crime stories that have been like keeping me up at night. Like the story of Lisa Holm, who was a teenager in Sweden working at a cafe when she never made it home one night. She had just texted her father that she was heading home on her moped, but when she never showed up that night, he actually drove to her work and found that her moped was still in the parking lot with the keys in the ignition. And no one inside had seen what happened to her between the entrance to the cafe and her moped. And then when the police are called, they start finding some of her belongings, leading them like breadcrumbs to this shed up here. And that's where they ultimately find Lisa's body crammed into a locker. And this is the crazy part, but beforehand, there was a guy in the search party looking for Lisa who was telling volunteers beforehand to not look in this specific shed. So the police think that there's something weird with this guy, so they bring him in for questioning, and during the investigation, they find thousands of images and videos on his computer of like extreme violence against women. His name was Nergis Belavicius, and he was eventually convicted of Lisa's murder. And this was actually an episode in Crime Scene Sweden, which is a show about murders that just wrecked the country. There's tons of other shows I haven't heard of that I'm actually really digging, so I'm gonna include a link in my bio for you to check it out and let me know.
This woman murdered her husband to get YouTube
I'm gonna check that out.
Samantha Walford met her partner Ernie at a tattoo parlor, and the pair quickly began dating. Samantha was already a mother of 2 and had twins from a failed high school relationship. Ernie took on a father role for these twins, and 3 years later the pair had another set of twins.
Damn.
Shortly after, they had another child, making them a family of 7. Ernie was working a lot to provide for the family, and Samantha was trying to make it on YouTube. Her attempt at a YouTube career was putting a strain on the relationship, and she was neglecting her children. The pair reportedly began arguing a lot. On the 20th of February 2015, police were called to their home. Samantha claimed that 3 men had broken in and kidnapped her husband. However, inconsistencies started appearing in her story. During an interrogation, she claimed that she couldn't call 911 because she was tied up. She did, however, manage to call her mum. Police asked, "How did you dial your mother with your face?" She eventually admitted to knowing the kidnappers, but said she had nothing to do with this. Investigators ended up uncovering texts between Samantha and the kidnappers. Samantha had actually orchestrated the whole thing. She had intentionally left the front door open to enable the kidnappers to get in the house. They then took Ernie to the woods and shot him in the head. Police concluded that Samantha did this to get fame and attention. 2 of the men got 50-year sentences, 1 got 93 years, and Samantha got 99 years.
Things people do, man, for this YouTube fame. It ain't easy, man, trying to build up a channel, build momentum, but she took it to a completely different level. I can't believe, man, she would do that to her own family, bro. Just to get that type of fame and attention, it ain't worth it. Wow, we gotta watch out for people like this in the world.
Real Disney Ghost Stories sent in by you guys. Part 1. These Disneyland cast members wish to remain anonymous, but here are some stories about the little girl who haunts California Adventure. When I worked in Disney California Adventure, we would sometimes see a little girl, and she would show up in the bakery tour alone. And usually by the time we figured out she was alone, she's gone. We asked another cast in the bakery, and they said she comes by every now and then and wanders all the way to Little Mermaid. Before Disney California Adventure was built, it was a parking lot, and she was hit by a tram, and since then her ghost has haunted the area. It's funny, because there's a pattern here. Another cast member wrote to me about this little girl as well in Disney California Adventure. First of all, he says that every land has some sort of ghost. Like, every little land in Disneyland has something that haunts it, which is crazy. The ghost I experienced the most and will stay with me is the little girl in the Little Mermaid building. She also likes to walk around on the Grizzly Peak side. She even pulled my keys out of my pocket because I wouldn't respond to her while I was cleaning a restroom, and she was pounding a stall door. What? That is so scary. Here's another ghost story about the same girl. Apparently her name is Jennifer. I work at the restaurant on Buena Vista Street in California Adventure. Jennifer is very well known by cast members. She likes to lock the women's restroom doors. She turns candlesticks on the walls upstairs. I've heard a faint scream in the hallway on the 2nd floor. She's pulled my hair a couple times, and she has shown herself to our custodial at 3 a.m. Have you ever had an encounter with this little girl spirit at Disney California Adventure? Let me know in the comments, and keep sending me more Disney ghost stories.
Believe that? That's fact or cap? Those stories,
Have you heard that this man who was missing since 2021 was just found alive? On the 2nd of October 2021, 26-year-old Harley McCourt vanished from his home in Arkansas. For 2 agonizing years, his family have scoured the country trying to find him, but have had no luck. 18 months later, however, he's now been found. He was located on a beach in Texas, miles away from his Arkansas home. Harley was last seen in his bedroom by his dad on the morning of the 2nd of October. When his dad couldn't find him a couple of hours later, he reported him missing. He'd been severely depressed and distant for the months prior to him going missing. He also had social anxiety, so it was very odd of him to leave his home. His phone, medication, and other belongings were all still at home, and all searches led to dead ends. Then, in a dramatic turn of events, almost 2 years after he disappeared, Harley was discovered. Police in Texas stopped a man for walking against the traffic. Using information they found in his backpack, they identified him and notified his family. His mum and sister raced to see him when he was found, and as soon as they were reunited, they all embraced. His disappearance is still under investigation, and Harley states that his memory of what happened is fuzzy. He's been receiving mental health treatment in a hospital and is making progress.
Do you guys even imagine that, man? Like, you looking for your family member for like 2 years, he just drops off the grid, just disappears. You think the worst happens, and you miraculously found him. And it's a small detail just because he was against the traffic, man. Like, imagine if that never would have happened, they might have never found him again, man. It's like those little details, man, that something can happen in the universe you just can't explain. Some things are meant to be. You can't remember what happened, the fuzzy details. That's what I'm focusing on.
These people might be freed soon in 2023. Number 1, we have Rachel Shove. In 2012, 16-year-old Rachel, along with her friend Sheila Eddy, decided they no longer want to be friends with another girl named Skylar Neese. However, instead of just communicating and talking to Skylar about their thoughts, they decided to lure her out of her house in the early hours of July 6, 2012. Skylar thought nothing of it and believed that she was simply hanging out with two of her best friends. The two took her to some woods 30 miles away where they would stab her to death. What's more disturbing is that Rachel and Sheila even talked to Skylar's parents and helped them during the search days after the killing. It would be 6 months later when Rachel finally confessed to the horrible deed they had committed. Her parole hearing has been delayed to May 9, 2023, and currently there are 31,000 people who signed a petition on Change.org to deny her parole.
You said yourself, Your Honor, this is first-degree murder. She should not give any leniency, and she can take her apologies and everything else and sit on it because that's about what they're worth.
You stood there for over a year, comforting, being with us, telling us you knew nothing. When the police and everybody was coming close, then you decided to put us.
Right in your face.
Number 2, we have Paul Denyer, dubbed the Frankston serial killer because he brutally attacked and slit the throats of 3 young women in Melbourne, 1993. He has had a history of breaking into neighbors' apartments, cutting up their furniture, clothing, and even writing blood on their walls. Ironically, in prison, Denyer began to identify as the very thing he despised, a woman. He was given 3 life sentences, but because of a technicality during his sentencing, he's eligible for parole after 30 years, which basically means sometime this year. Date of the parole hearing is still unknown.
Off a technicality? Gotta do better, man. This system.
This woman murdered her husband to get YouTube subscribers. Samantha Walford met her partner Ernie at a tattoo parlor, and the pair quickly began dating. Samantha was already a mother of 2 and had twins from a failed high school relationship. Ernie took on a father role for these twins, and 3 years later the pair had another set of twins. Shortly after they had another child, making them a family of 7. Ernie was working a lot to provide for the family, and Samantha was trying to make it on YouTube. Her attempt at a YouTube career was putting a strain on the relationship, and she was neglecting her children. The pair reportedly began arguing a lot. On the 20th of February 2015, police were called to their home. Samantha claimed that 3 men had broken in and kidnapped her husband. However, inconsistencies started appearing in her story. During an interrogation, she claimed that she couldn't call 911 because she was tied up. She did, however, manage to call her mum. Police asked, "How did you dial your mother with your face?" She eventually admitted to knowing the kidnappers, but said she had nothing to do with this. Investigators ended up uncovering texts between Samantha and the kidnappers. Samantha had actually orchestrated the whole thing. She had intentionally left the front door open to enable the kidnappers to get in the house. They then took Ernie to the woods and shot him in the head. Police concluded that Samantha did this to get fame and attention. 2 of the men got 50-year sentences, 1 got 93 years, and Samantha got 99 years.
Got the opposite result. Be careful.
Did you know that on the morning of September 11th, when United 93 took off, it was missing its 5th hijacker, who was later believed to be Mohammed Al-Qahtani, who tried to enter the country on August 4th, 2001 at the Orlando International Airport. Jose Melendez-Perez was his immigration officer who questioned him for over 90 minutes. During that time, Jose said that Al-Qahtani could provide him no information on where he was staying, couldn't give a reason for his travel in the United States, and had no return flight home. His irate attitude while being questioned by Jose also set off red flags, and Jose began to believe that he'd been trained by a military. After those 90 minutes, Al-Qahtani was refused entry to the United States on a technicality. As he boarded his flight back to Dubai, he turned around to officials and said, "I'll be back," in perfect English, after telling them he only knew how to speak Arabic, and working with a translator all through his interrogation. And during his interrogation, he would let it slip that someone was waiting for him upstairs at the MCO airport, but then changed his story and said no, they weren't. Later credit card records would show that Mohammed Atta, the lead terrorist of the 9/11 attacks, was at the MCO airport that day. We've gone through this and so much more over on Deep Diving Delalio's.
Little thing, man, to make up the story. He was playing him the whole time. Spoke perfect English saying, "I'll be back." Out of a damn movie.
Everywhere I go, I see the world changing. Don't care what you think of me. I'm not changing. I'm not changing. I'm not changing. Don't care what you think of me. I'm not changing.
That's me edit, right?
So a lot of people know the movie, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Most people know him as like he's this slasher with a chainsaw that he like wears people's faces, and you know he's just like his family is helping him like commit all these murders, and they're trying to keep it hush because he's crazy, and it's like, oh, he's just our sweet little boy, he's just not all the way there. And that's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's what most people know him as, right? But what most people don't know is that it is actually based off of a real story. So there's this guy named Ed Gein, right? Ed Gein was born in Wisconsin, and he grew up and he was super isolated, like always by himself. People described him as like a weird dude. Like he was very, always like by himself, like never really in a crowd or had any friends. He was always like a recluse. Ed Gein started grave robbing and like digging up dead bodies, and he would use their skin for like stuff around the house. He'd use their bones as like utensils, and he has been confirmed to have killed at least 2 people, but they think it's upwards of 10. But yeah, so he was arrested, and the scariest part about it though is that he
they couldn't finish it. Chainsaw Massacre?
Now that I've seen it,
True
I
story?
can't unsee it. So the other day, a Reddit user posted this photo to Reddit. It's of his apartment at night. He had been complaining of hearing rustling noises in his apartment over the last couple nights. Many users thought they could kind of see something in this area of his kitchen, but I couldn't, so I looked at the brightened version. This is the photo brightened. And I know what you're gonna say, yes, it does look like Keanu Reeves, but look at how tall he is compared to the fridge. But it gets so much worse. This is a video he took of his apartment at night where you can see something happen to the light in the kitchen. But let's look at the brightened version.
See movement there.
Yes, it's terrifying, but is it a ghost?
Is it a ghost? Fact or cap? I doesn't know what to do.
Can't fucking open the damn door.
Where's she running from? See a car going back and forth. Somebody was chasing her? She made it home, thankfully. I don't know what would have happened.
Horror movies 99% of you can't finish, part 1. Up first is the Poughkeepsie tapes. The Poughkeepsie tapes is about a serial killer in Poughkeepsie, New York. And he records tapes of torturing and killing his victims. And in this movie, we are shown those tapes, intertwined with interviews of police officers, family members of victims, and even a victim herself to get a perspective of the killer and his crimes. Most of the footage in this movie is downright creepy and disturbing, and most people can't handle it. The footage also includes the murder of a young child and the torture of several victims. So let me know if you can finish this movie, because 99% of people can't.
Okay, I gotta finish the Poughkeepsie tapes. I'm not even gonna try.
How many of you actually knew that Jeffrey Dahmer was murdered in prison alongside another convicted murderer?
Honestly, I did not know. Let's talk about these two folks. So this was salesman Jesse Anderson, who was born in Illinois but then eventually would move to Wisconsin. Later down the road, Jesse would eventually marry Barbara, and they had 3 children together. Well, apparently by 1992, the marriage wasn't going so well. Jesse thought the marriage was failing, so he wanted to give it one more shot, right? On the night of April 21st, 1992, he took his wife out to go see a movie, and then afterwards they went to go have dinner, and at that point he planned to try to reconcile their marriage. Apparently it didn't go well. After they left the TGI Fridays that they were eating at in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, they would walk to their car, and not too soon afterward, police were called because there were 2 people on the ground bleeding. It was Jesse Anderson and his wife, Barbara. They had both apparently been stabbed. Barbara immediately went into a coma and would eventually die a couple days later, but Jesse, who had 4 stab wounds to his chest, would survive. Most of his stab wounds were superficial. Barbara was stabbed 21 times in the face. Jesse said that the assailants were 2 black men. He said he managed to knock off one of their hats, a Los Angeles Clippers hat. So police were looking for 2 black men who have done this. Well, in their investigation, it turns out that it wasn't 2 black men. It was Jesse Anderson who stabbed his wife multiple times in the face. By using forensic smarts and also witness testimony, that's how they came to that conclusion. Jesse had bought the hat from this man that same day. Jesse was convicted and sentenced to 60 years to life. He would eventually end up in the same prison as Jeffrey Dahmer. And also, Christopher Scarver. Christopher was working in Milwaukee at a Conservation Corps job group. He was promised a full-time position at this job by a man who, eventually that man, would be terminated from the company. Therefore, Scarver's promotion to full-time never got to happen. So on June 1st, 1990, he went to his place of work and he confronted the person who replaced the man who promised him a full-time job. That man was named Steve Loman, and he was demanding money from him. And he was pointing a gun at Steve Loman. He was drunk, he was crazy. When Steve only gave him a few bucks, he shot him directly in the forehead, killing him instantly. And then shot him 2 more times after he was dead. Another person there would end up giving him a $3,000 check, and he let them live. He found out that Jeffrey Dahmer was specifically targeting black young men. He also found out that Jesse Anderson tried to frame 2 black men for a murder he committed. So, while on cleaning duty in a locker room at the prison, he beat both men to death with a metal bar. He's now serving 3 life sentences without parole.
Damn. One act doesn't make up for another, but he just took him out. He took out Jeffrey Dahmer and the other guy. They both were just for targeting black men. But, you know, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but he just freaking ended it. Goes to show you, man, how these stories, they never end well. I mean, in a situation like that, man, it's best to just avoid it. Like I said, he was drunk or something. That drunken day, something led to him being gone for the rest of his life. That's why I try to stay away from that, man. Damn. YouTube, that's it, man, for this video for you guys today. If you guys stay with me to the end, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate that, man. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, hit that post notification bell, as you guys can see my reaction style, man. I changed the order for you guys. You guys said it's better. I'm cutting down on me pausing and talking all the time because you guys just want the video to play through and I save it for after. So tell me how you guys doing. You guys enjoying the changes? Like I said, man, mine coming soon. You guys gonna catch it in the next one, man. Guys, we've been being daily every single day of April, man. So guys, hopefully you guys appreciate the effort I'm putting in, man. May coming up, gonna go even stronger, gonna go even harder. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, seekers? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. You guys know what we do. If you're brand new to the channel, we break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel, seekers. Just want to thank you guys who's been tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that like button, hitting that post notification bell, man. I really appreciate your support. Like I said, that's how we can grow our community together, the Seekers. So if you guys do those steps, we're on our way up, man. Like I said, once again, I messed with the audio settings, man. You guys have been seeing you guys how you couldn't hear the videos on some of it, so I turned it way up. Let me know down in the comments, man. Is the audio, is it good or fine, man? Like I said, I'm trying to get this right for you guys, Seekers, man. Mike is coming soon. Let's do what we do best. Let's seek the truth.
75 passengers lost their lives after this pilot let his children in the cockpit. On March 23rd, 1994, an Aeroflot aircraft was flying from Russia to Hong Kong when the airplane tragically crashed. Only a few hours into the flight, one of the pilots allowed his 2 children who were also on the flight to enter the cockpit so that they can see how everything operated. The pilot's 16-year-old son Elder and his 12-year-old daughter Yana had the opportunity to sit in the pilot's seat and play around with the aircraft's controls. Of course, autopilot was on, so this was not supposed to be dangerous. Well, at least that's what he thought. The pilot told his son Elder that he can turn the plane to one side so he can experience what it was to fly a plane. Unfortunately, this disabled autopilot. The pilots were unaware that the plane began turning, but once they noticed, the plane had steepened to almost 90 degrees. The plane started to quickly descend while the pilots tried to figure out what was wrong. And there's actually an audio recording of how everything played out, and you can hear the fear in these pilots' voices. The plane ended up crashing on a mountain in Russia, killing all 75 passengers on board. After investigating, they said that the cause of the crash were the children who were playing with the controls in the aircraft. And it was said that if the pilots had left the controls alone rather than trying to fix them manually, the plane would have corrected itself.
Pranks that definitely went too far. Firstly, this kid was walking into an elevator when the floor opened up. He genuinely thought he was falling to his death until he fell onto a slide that covered him in foam and feathers, which destroyed all of his belongings, including his laptop. Next, these people were applying for a job at LG Electronics when the window behind the interviewer showed a meteor crashing down, seemingly destroying the entire city. They were screaming and crying until the company had to run in and tell them it was just a screen. Finally, this prank is the worst one of all. These customers were paying for store items when a Grim Reaper appeared on the screen. When they turned around and saw a man with a scythe winking, they each began to tear up in regret, believing that these were their final moments.
Seekers, man, yeah. See how some people, man, they be taking jokes too far. That's definitely the case, man. Like, if you see a damn Reaper behind you, Seekers, how would you guys react? And then turn around and see an old man there. You don't play with that type of energy.
This woman murdered a teenager because it was on her bucket list. It was 2016 and Gemma Lilly was 26 years old. She was obsessed with serial killers and she'd emigrated to Australia 6 years earlier, back in 2010. She was originally from Lincolnshire and had a troubled upbringing. Her fascination with crime and horror was a dark one, and disturbingly, she even put murdering someone on her bucket list. Her housemate was 44-year-old Trudy Lennon. She was actually introduced by a mutual friend to Trudy. Trudy had been struggling financially and actually had 2 children to feed, so the pair decided to live together in order to share bills. At this point, the women started sharing disturbing fantasies about killing someone. Some of these were even documented in the online chats that the pair had. They used the code names SOS and Corvina. Within the space of just 3 weeks living together, the pair hatched a sickening plan. Terrifyingly, in the days leading up to the plan, the pair bought a circular saw, bleach, cement, a drop sheet, a large plastic barrel, and some acetone. Trudy identified their victim. Aaron Page was friends with one of Trudy's sons, and she decided they would lure him to the flat. They used the excuse of needing Aaron to come and install some games onto their computers. As he obliged, Gemma came up behind him and strangled him with a wire. She then stabbed him 3 times. They buried him in a shallow grave and attempted to cover it with concrete. Aaron was reported missing on the 14th of June after failing to return home. It was on the 20th of June that police were able to track Aaron's last call to Gemma's phone, which led them to investigate her. They searched the property and found Aaron's body along with a knife and the saw. Police even found CCTV evidence from Gemma's own CCTV camera. In 2018, both women were sentenced to life with a minimum term of 28 years.
She had that on a bucket list, Seekers. That's a different type of person, man. Truly.
This daycare worker is why many Americans choose to not send their kids to daycare. Hi, my name is Ethan, and trigger warning, this is a dark case. In June of 2018, a 1-year-old in Jessica Cherry's care allegedly fell from a chair, hit her head, and suffered extensive bruising and skull fracture. Fast forward 2 years later, another 2-year-old was found deceased in Jessica's playpen in her home. Jessica immediately called 911, and the 2-year-old was transported to Children's Hospital of the King's Daughters and was pronounced deceased. The pathologist who performed the autopsy on the 2-year-old later declared that she was potentially smothered, and that is how she passed away. They also saw that the child had blunt force injuries as well. Jessica was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter in August of 2022, and on March 17th of this year, she was sentenced to 10 years in prison.
Prosecutors will not seek the death penalty for the murders of Keilio and Roxy Coleman. If you don't know, Matthew Coleman is accused of killing his 2-year-old and 10-month-old because he believed his wife had passed on serpent DNA. He's confessed to shooting their kids with a spearfishing gun 29 times, yet he pleads not guilty. According to prosecutors, on August 7th, the family was just outside of their Santa Barbara home packing for a camping trip. Seemingly out of nowhere, Matthew picked up the kids, put them in the van, and drove off. Immediately, Abby Coleman called 911. But at first, she didn't want an officer to come out as she thought they would all be back soon. That following day, on August 8th, Abby changed her mind. She reported her family missing and, with police, used Find My iPhone to track her husband's last known location. With this, it became clear Matthew had driven Keilio and Roxy into Mexico. FBI at the border was alerted to be on the lookout, but by this point, he was already carrying out his plan. As confirmed by surveillance footage, around 3 a.m. on August 9th, the three were seen leaving a Rosarito hotel. From here, Matthew just started driving. At 3:12, he texted Abby that things have been rough, but he's finally gotten some clarity. Tragically, we know that shortly after that message was sent, the kids were killed on the outskirts of a remote ranch. Matthew attempted to hide their bodies and then disposed of the weapon and bloody clothing in a nearby creek. Now, while the kids were found by 7:30 that morning, back at home, no one knew. When Abby woke up that morning, she got Matthew's message about clarity. She responded with this at 9:24 a.m. and then alerted police that his iPhone was headed back towards the border. Obviously, when Matthew tried to cross back over, the kids weren't with him. In recorded interviews, he discussed wild conspiracy theories, along with how he could communicate with his children. He said 10-month-old Roxy told him Abby was abusing them and that he had to kill them to save the world. So again, today Matthew still pleads not guilty, with the most recent update being that he will not face the death penalty. Court records also reveal that he and Abby shared mutual interest in these theories, but his beliefs reportedly grew stronger. Investigators say that they have and will continue to treat Abby as a victim in the case.
This is a tragic story.
Man, the thing that got me at the end, Seekers, when she said those two, they shared the same theory, so they was on that same that conspiracy theory, whatever they believed in, and led to a dark path, Seekers, man. That's how sometimes I don't try to go too deep into this, like, you know, conspiracy theory hole, because they can really change this perspective. You can become a completely different person. It's good to do research, but I feel like there's too much information, man. It might like overload your brain. Sometimes you gotta take a break to just to process all this new information we're learning, Seekers.
Story of how this boxer went from this to this. Back in 2015, 23-year-old Pritchard Collin and Terrell Williams competed at the Eagle Bank Arena in Virginia. At this point, Pritchard had only been pro for 2 years until this fight, which would be the last time he entered the ring, leaving him in a vegetative state. From the very beginning of the fight, Pritchard complained to the referee that Terrell kept hitting him with rabbit punches. If you don't know what that is, they're punches to the back of the head or neck that are extremely dangerous and can cause brain or spinal cord injury. These punches are illegal, and usually the fighter would be disqualified if it happened in a fight. Pritchard also mentioned to the ringside physician that he felt dizzy, but he could still go on, so the match continued. But on this night, after multiple rounds and blows to the head, when Pritchard went into his dressing room, he began throwing up. He eventually passed out and was rushed to the hospital, where he underwent surgery for internal bleeding in his brain, and then he went into a coma for 221 days. When Pritchard woke up, he was in a vegetative state, and his mother and father have been taking care of him ever since. The blame has not only been put on Terrell for throwing illegal punches, but the referee and the physician who sat ringside were also negligent for failing to take any required steps to either stop the fight or get Pritchard some help. Pritchard's family filed a $50 million lawsuit against the physician, but it's never been settled, and apparently he's not legally responsible for any of this. Pritchard's parents were told by doctors that he would never get better because of the damage that was done. But if you see some progress videos that have been posted online, it's clear that Pritchard has gotten better, and I hope that one day he can be close to what he was.
Detail seekers. You never know what will happen. Eddie.
Horrific new details have been revealed in the case of Abby Williams and Libby German. If you've been following, you know the girls were enjoying a day off school when they were killed near Delphi's Monon High Bridge Trail. Richard Allen has since been arrested, with his defense now arguing that the way they were found actually suggests a ritualistic sacrifice. On Monday, they filed a 136-page document, including a step-by-step of what Richard would have to do to commit these crimes between 2:13 and 3:30 p.m. I'm going to be brief, but again, a warning that these details are horrific. According to court documents, the crime scene on Valentine's Day was ghoulish, with what appeared to be the letter F painted in blood on a tree. The girls were, quote, treated differently, but both reportedly suffered wounds to their necks. Abby was dressed in Libby's sweatshirt and jeans, with more clothes found in the nearby river. Aside from that, the defense states that the girls were positioned with branches of varying sizes arranged on their bodies. On Abby, there were sticks mimicking antlers, and another placement included 3 branches that resembled an asterisk. So with all of this information and more, the defense is arguing a lot. That no one could have done this alone, that there is overwhelming evidence tying Odinism to the crime scene, and that several officials believed a cult to be behind the murders. They also named 5 suspects who they say were cleared too quickly, including a man whose son was dating Abby at the time. They know that his social media posts contain runes that actually mimic the crime scene. It is a 136-page document, so there's a lot. But another thing the defense is asking for is a hearing to present evidence to throw out the search warrant at Richard's house. That is where police reportedly found a gun that matched a bullet found at the crime scene. As of today, the prosecution has not responded to any of the defense's claims. As always, if you would like to donate in Abby and Libby's name, go to the Abby and Libby Memorial Park Fund.
This girl
Those
killed
calls,
her mum
man.
so that
Gotta
she
be
wouldn't
careful about
find out
those
she got
seekers.
kicked out of school. On the 3rd of March 2020, police were called to do a welfare check at a property in Ohio. Brenda Powell lived in the house, the 50-year-old mother of Sydney Powell. Brenda had actually been on the phone with Sydney's former school. This was the University of Mount Union. Now, during the telephone call, a staff member heard repeated thuds and screaming, so authorities were alerted. Inside, they found Brenda Powell in a serious condition. She was rushed to hospital but died from her injuries. Brenda had been unaware that her 19-year-old daughter had been kicked out of the school. During her telephone conversation, Brenda was struck in the head and then stabbed nearly 30 times by Sydney. However, when police investigated the murder, Sydney tried to claim that there had been a break-in. She told them that there had been a noise and her mum had instructed her to run away. She said she heard screaming, and when she ran back in, her mum was on the floor. Investigators saw through her lies and she eventually changed her story. At her trial, she pled not guilty by reason of insanity. Her defense argued that Sydney was suffering from undiagnosed schizophrenia. They stated that she killed while experiencing a psychotic episode. However, it is rare for people with schizophrenia to act violently. It was concluded that Sydney had been exaggerating her symptoms. She's recently been found guilty and is awaiting sentencing.
This story.
Oh, freaking daughter did that to you because she got kicked out of school and then just want to reveal the truth seekers. I'm telling you, man, seekers, the truth can be a powerful thing. Some people are afraid of it because of what it can do, and look what the extent people go to, man, in order not to say the truth. That's a dark case, seekers.
It makes me sick to my stomach. This is 14-year-old Scotty Morris out of Eaton, Indiana. On the night of March 16th, Scotty got into an argument with his parents after they forced him to put on this embarrassing t-shirt, and he ended up leaving the house and running away. He left the house wearing only this t-shirt, some shorts, and tennis shoes. And so a lot of people are very worried that he is being exposed to these freezing temperatures. They have not been able to find a trace of him in 6 days. Naturally, Scotty's parents have been under fire because of this bizarre, humiliating form of punishment. And you just see the pain in his eyes. It makes you wonder what's really going on in that house, why they would take a picture of him in this. Like they were going to use it later as ammunition. I don't know. I don't get it. I think it's horrible. But here's what Felicia had to say to her son.
This is Felicia Morris. She is Scotty Morris's mother. We've been working with Felicia for the last 3 days, and she's been very cooperative with our investigation. we had decided that she wanted to talk to Scotty personally, so that's why we're here.
Do I hold on?
No, you're okay. Go ahead.
Scott, I love you. And I want you to come home. And I know that you're mad and confused, and I'm afraid that you're scared of all of this. Everyone is out looking for you, and we're not trying to scare you. You're not in trouble, okay? If you're in a house and they come to you and you don't want to go out because it's the cops, reach out. Me and Dad will come get you, okay? I love you and I just want you to come home. I need you to know that you're safe. Please just call 911. Tell anyone. I need you home. I just need you home, okay? And I love you so much, okay?
Guys, we found it.
All those things, it's like, to me, I'm like, there's a thing, I guess there's a difference between like punishment and I guess just like trying to humiliate someone. You can like humiliate the person. Like you said, you can see the pain in his eyes. That shirt he was wearing said, "I'm a liar," or something like that. And yeah, they took a picture of that. Yes, it seemed like you should see because that she was going to use that for later. Any Seekers, man, want to dive into that case, man, so we can wrap that up? I appreciate that.
It's okay.
You gotta go. I'll look you
Wait, open it. So if you don't remember this story, back in 2020, a young woman and her group of friends were filming a TikTok video while they were using the app Randonautica. Now, if you don't know what Randonautica is, it's an app where you put in some sort of an intention, like scary, and it gives you a set of coordinates to go on some sort of little mini adventure. And on that day, those people had randomly gone out on a Randonautica adventure and had been sent to those coordinates where they discovered suitcases. And inside of those suitcases, shockingly, were 2 sets of human remains. Eventually, those remains were identified as belonging to Jessica Lewis and Austin Wenner. They were 2 locals who lived in the Seattle area and they had gone missing prior to this discovery. After some investigation, it was revealed that these 2 had gotten themselves involved in some sort of criminal activities, but still the question remained, who had killed them? Well, it was this man, 65-year-old Michael Dudley, a landlord in the Seattle area. As it turns out, he was the landlord for the 2 victims, and some sort of altercation had occurred on June 9th, 2020. On that day, according to further investigation, Michael Dudley had gotten into an argument with Jessica and Austin. And after this argument, he went upstairs to the bedroom that Austin and Jessica were renting. He shot them both to death, most likely for not paying rent and being involved in this criminal activity that they were bringing into his home. But disturbingly, Michael then took this a step further, and instead of just burying their bodies somewhere, he decided to dismember them. That's right, he then dismembered these 2 adult human bodies, stuffed them into suitcases, and tried to dispose of them in 2 different waterways in the Seattle area. Now, Michael was eventually caught and arrested for this crime, and eventually after the trial, he was sentenced to 46 years in prison. And with him being 65 years old already, this is practically a death sentence. I just remember seeing this video when it was first released and it was making its rounds on social media and thinking that can't possibly be true. But in this case, the actual reality of the situation was darker than any sort of fictional situation I could have ever imagined.
Yeah, we need to look out for that. Randonautica? Once again.
Did you know that Gino D'Acampo actually served time in prison? Many people in the UK absolutely love Gino, who is well known for appearing on daytime television. However, many people don't know that he does have a criminal past. This true crime case honestly reads like a bizarre fan fiction. In 1998, way before he ever appeared on ITV's This Morning, Gino was 21 years old. He was an unknown waiter living in North London. He broke into the home of well-known 80s singer Paul Young. He was known for having hits such as Wherever I Lay My Hat. Gino stole Paul's guitar collection, which was reportedly worth around £4,000. He also stole his platinum disc. Police investigating the crime found that Gino had actually unknowingly left his DNA at the crime scene. He dropped a cigarette butt with his DNA on it. They were able to match this DNA to Gino, and he was sentenced to 2 years in prison. Gino actually reached out to Paul personally to apologise to him just prior to entering the I'm a Celebrity jungle back in 2009. Gino stated that he was involved with the wrong people back then and was on the wrong path.
This is
Never
Lauren
know
Cook,
anybody's
and she,
path,
along with
Seekers.
her 3 children,
Past.
have been missing from Ferrum, Virginia since September 5th. But despite Virginia police saying that Lauren and her 3 children have been missing for over 2 weeks, her husband remains unconcerned and maintains that this isn't the case. 30-year-old Lauren and her 3 kids, 7-year-old Benjamin, 5-year-old Hannah, and 2-year-old Elijah, were last seen in their home in Ferrum, Virginia on September 5th. That day, Lauren missed a scheduled court appearance in Franklin County Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court. A missing persons investigation was initiated after Lauren did not appear for her rescheduled court appearance on September 13th. It's not clear why exactly Lauren was due in court, but police have said that juvenile records are confidential. Lauren's family has not heard from her since September 5th. A news release said, quote, "There has been no reported contact with Lauren since September 5th or 6th when she stated that she was in New York visiting family." This was the last time Lauren's mother spoke to her, and she said that Lauren's bank account hasn't shown any recent activity, and her cell phone last pinged on September 7th in Lexington, Virginia. Investigators later confirmed that Lauren and the kids had been in Litchfield, Illinois, but they haven't been able to directly talk to them, so they are still considered missing. Despite concerns from authorities and Lauren's family, her husband and the children's father, Jordan Cook, is not concerned, saying his wife and his children are not missing. Jordan was in attendance at the family's recent rescheduled court appearance on September 20th, but Lauren was not there. But Jordan Cook said, "I have no reason to be concerned about their safety or well-being. I've heard from my wife, and I'm sure she and my children are doing well. We ask that our family's privacy be respected at this time." But Sergeant Megan Houston said that until Lauren and the kids appear in person to a law enforcement officer, they are still regarded as missing. She said Lauren and the 3 children will remain in local and national databases as missing until a law enforcement agency is able to lay eyes on them to ensure that they are okay and not under any duress. She said this is the typical protocol for when someone is entered in as missing. A reported phone call, phone ping, photo, video, audio, etc. is not sufficient to clear the missing persons alert out of the system. According to Lauren's mother, Lauren is also 5 months pregnant. Lauren and her children may be traveling in a 2013 blue Chrysler van with Virginia license plates. Anyone with any information about Lauren or her children should contact the Franklin County Sheriff's Office.
Now y'all, Jalen's family rushed to be by her side at Grady Hospital. They learned that Jalen was shot twice in her face and she was shot in her back and her spine. Now this ended up severing her spine. Now Jalen was also placed on a ventilator because of all of the swelling and made it hard for her to breathe. Now y'all, this 24-year-old who had just had a baby not even 6 weeks ago was in the hospital fighting for her life. Now Jaden could not speak, but she was writing things on this board, and one of the things that she told her parents was, "I want to survive." Jaden also started to recall everything that was going on the day that she got shot. She remembered him saying that she shouldn't have came there and that she was gonna die. She recalled zip ties, and she saying that after she got shot, she just kept fighting because she wanted to live for Josiah. Now Jalen's mother did learn what actually happened that day. Jalen is saying that when she got there, he had zip ties and he tried to zip tie her. Jalen then tried to make a run for it when she realized that this man is going to try to kill me. Now, as Jalen is running for her life with her baby, she's huddled over her baby. Jamar is chasing her, and that's when he shoots her in her back. So Jalen's still fighting for her life. The baby ends up dropping, and that's when she's trying to crawl to the door. He then stands over her, shooting her 2 times in the face. Now, this is at the point where he thought that Jalen was dead, because after that, that's when he turned the gun on himself. But Jalen was not dead, and she was able to crawl out into the yard where a neighbor saw her. Y'all, this girl literally got shot in her face, her back, and she was still able to crawl out and help herself and her son. Now, although Jalen has a long road to recovery ahead of her, she is expected to survive. Now, y'all, it is so important that Jalen's story gets heard because it might be another young lady out there that's in her situation. Y'all, this man was very possessive, very abusive, always checking her location, always just doing things to see where she was. But never in a million years did they think that he would try to kill her. And not only that, you guys have to think about, she was holding his baby when all of this took place. So not only was he trying to kill her, he could have killed his own child as well. Now, there is not a lot of justice that could be done because Jamar did end up killing himself. But Jaylen and her family, they want to get this story out there because maybe it can touch somebody and maybe it could save a life. As of right now, Jaylen's family's main priority is her recovery and the raising of Josiah. Now, there is a GoFundMe that you guys can donate, or if you just share it, that is fine, for Jaylen and her son Josiah and for her recovery. And they are also having a basketball fundraiser on September 30th from 10 to 2. Now, this will take place in Griffin, Georgia, and it is taking place at the First Assembly God Church at the gym. Jaylen is a beautiful mother. She's a survivor, and y'all, she deserves all the love and peace in the world. My heart goes out to her huge family, because through all of this, they have stepped up and they are taking care of Josiah. Not only that, they are also taking care of Jaylen. Jaylen is in a wheelchair now. She would need all the help that she can get. You guys, please make sure you blow this up. Share this. Maybe somebody will see this video and they'll leave a bad situation that they're in. Or maybe somebody's going through a similar situation that they're on the fence about, and this video could help them. Justice for Jaylen, and y'all make sure you blow this one up. 75
Seekers, you guys, man. Justice for Jaylen, like she said. Let's blow this video up, Seekers, man, because that was actually, she's a survivor. To survive all that, man, like she literally had a crawl at the end. That's a different type of strength, Seekers. Truly. You guys made it with me to the end of the video. You're a real one, Seekers. Seeking the truth, supporting the channel. I really appreciate that, man. Like I said, tell me how you guys like this audio setting, man. You guys have noticed in the past couple of videos I'm like pausing them less, man. I'm trying to keep it down to like 3 or 4 pauses, man. I'm just trying to let the video play out because that's what you guys want. I'm going to give you guys the best type of content that you guys want. You guys going to catch it in the next one, man. Like I said, going to close out April strong. Then going into May even stronger, Seekers. Let's go. Blow this video up. Peace, Seekers. What's up, Seekers? Welcome back to the channel, man. Hopefully you guys you're doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new here, man, what we do is we break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos to IG reels, Facebook reels, man. Anything weird, usually unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank the Seekers who's been tapping in with us, man, subbing up to the channel, liking the videos. I greatly appreciate that, man. That's how we grow the Seekers. That's how we grow our community. So guys, hit that like button, subscribe. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best. Seek the truth, Seekers. Here we go.
The worst thing I've ever heard of happening at a theme park. This roller coaster was called the Smiler at Alton Towers in the UK. This is the promo for the ride. It was supposed to be really, really creepy.
Join us.
This happened on June 2nd, 2015. The staff sent an empty car to like test the tracks, and the car stopped in the middle of the tracks of the roller coaster. They then sent a car full of people down the tracks when this empty car was just sitting here. So the people collided into the empty roller coaster car. I obviously can't show you the video on here or this video will get taken down, but it's terrifying because these people like see the car sitting there and they know they're going to crash into it. And there's a video of the aftermath where the car that they're in is just swinging back and forth and they're screaming and crying in pain. It's horrible. 5 people needed serious treatment. 2 people shattered their knees, and 1 person had to get their leg amputated. It's all so terrifying. I can't even imagine. And of course, this video is informational, and I mean no disrespect to anyone involved. If you like my content, follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more. It really helps when you interact.
Surgery in the 8th.
Seekers, bro. Like I said, I'm not even that kind of big on roller coasters, man. I remember when I went to the freaking amusement park, bro. So everybody's getting on the freaking big roller coasters. I'm like, nah, I'm good, bro. That ain't for me. I don't know, like a couple, man, but that's freaking insane, bro. The head that they said they sent a roller coaster ahead and it stopped mid tracks, and they still sent another one full of people. Like, I don't know what was going through that person's head when they decided to do that plan, but that was like a freaking demented plan, bro. Like, who does something like that, man? Just to see, I guess, to see what type of results they can get. And that promo was freaking weird as hell too, Seekers, man. I guess that promo was a sign, bro. Crazy.
1800s was fucking insane. Literally no anesthesia, no fucking drugs. You was awake while motherfuckers was chopping you up. One of the professional choppers, Robert Liston, was literally one of the fastest surgeons, which is good because you obviously want that shit to be over with fast. One day he was working so fast on a patient that he accidentally cut off 2 of his assistant's fingers. Both the patient and his assistant later died of gangrene. Oh, that's not all. Also, during the procedure, he accidentally swiped his blade past one of the elderly doctor's coats. The elderly doctor thought he was cut and literally went into shock and had a heart attack. So this motherfucker literally killed 3 people trying to save 1.
Crazy Seekers.
This teen took revenge on his ex in the most horrific way. On June 3rd, 17-year-old Madison Schmitz was stabbed by her ex-boyfriend, 18-year-old Spencer Pearson, outside a restaurant in Jacksonville. On this day, Madison, her mother Jackie, and a friend were sitting at a restaurant named Mr. Chubby's Wings when they noticed Spencer sitting at a table not too far from them. You see, Madison and Spencer had been broken up for a couple of months now, but he has been harassing her by following her to school and leaving notes on her car. So when they spotted Spencer sitting close to them at the restaurant, they quickly left. Spencer followed Madison and her mother to the parking lot. He threw Madison to the ground and began stabbing her. Madison was stabbed 15 times. Many of these wounds hit her back, which caused her to be paralyzed. Madison's mother was also stabbed in the head and leg while she tried to protect her daughter. This man who happened to be there intervened and tried to stop Spencer, and as a result, he was stabbed in the hand. When police were on their way, Spencer slit his throat in an attempt to take his own life, but he was unsuccessful. Spencer has been charged with 2 counts of attempted premeditated murder and aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. So about 10 minutes.
Seekers, man. Like I said, you gotta watch out for people like that, bro. When you're in a relationship, man, but once it ends or something, bro, you don't know that'll send them over a cliff or not. And look what happened, man. Just following the stalk there, bro. And look at the result of what happened, man. Such a tragic case. See him, like, imagine you going to like a restaurant, I guess you with your parents or something, and your freaking ex, it's just like you see him following you. That would always throw me off right there, but I wouldn't even actually try to leave the restaurant because you want witnesses, man. In case something trying to happen, something try to go down, look what happened. As soon as they left, that's when he made his move. Things, man, people would do, bro, just to get back at the ex in a relationship. It's truly terrifying, Seekers.
Minutes ago, there was an update in the disappearance of Nicola Bulley. Nicola went missing last Friday whilst walking her dog near the River Wyre. And just moments ago, police released a CCTV image of a woman walking her dog who they now believe may have been the last person to see Nicola. It's important to note that the police want to talk to this woman as a potential witness and not a potential suspect. In fact, police have now said that they have no reason to suspect that a third party is involved with Nicola's disappearance. Authorities are continuing an extensive search of the river, as well as searching an old abandoned house near to where Nicola went missing. Hopefully, Nicola will be located soon and her family and friends will have answers.
They gotta locate her soon.
A man just tried to end the lives of a woman and 2 young children by driving his Tesla off of a 250-meter cliff. The only problem is, all 4 of them somehow survived. The cliff is known as Devil's Slide, and when authorities were informed of the incident, they assumed that they'd be retrieving bodies, until they noticed movement from inside the vehicle. One official said, "We go there all the time for cars over the cliff, and they never live." This was an absolute miracle. The man and the woman sustained serious but non-life-threatening injuries, while the 2 children came out unharmed. So the question is, was this extremely lucky or a W for Tesla?
Damn. Are Teslas that durable, Seekers? If you can tell the name of that freaking cliff they went off, that's like, you know, a bad omen, bad sign already. But to hear that they had significant, the 2 of those had significant no non-significant injuries, and the kids came out unscathed. That's just a pure miracle right there, Seekers. We don't know if that's Tesla or if that was something else, man. But he tried to end it all, bro, and nothing even happened, bro. Whew. Somebody was looking out for that whole family. What do you guys think, Seekers, man? That's a bizarre case, bro. Truly.
Do not watch this video unless you have a very strong stomach. This case is truly sickening. On August the 31st, 2019, Margaret Sumney was unreachable. Her family knew something was wrong. They tried and failed to get hold of her for 2 days before notifying police to ask them to do a welfare check. When police went to her house in Pennsylvania, what they discovered was horrifying. They found shattered glass all over the floor and blood smeared on the walls. They found the 67-year-old's body in the bath. She'd been beaten to death. The autopsy revealed that she died from blunt force trauma to the head. Police interviewed her son David, who initially denied having anything to do with her death. However, police searched his phone and found absolutely disgusting images. They uncovered 277 sickening pictures, including selfies of David with her body, his face smeared in her blood, and doing a thumbs up pose. Police also discovered that David was in possession of his mum's jewellery and several blank checks. He also had a record of previously assaulting his mother twice and attacking his now deceased father once. The same year as his mum's murder, he allegedly waterboarded and strangled his ex-girlfriend in an Atlantic City hotel. It's reported, though, that he just slipped through the cracks in the police databases, allowing him to go on to offend again. He was soon arrested, and it was found that when he'd committed the murder of his mother, he'd taken a large amount of Adderall. His defense argued that he had diminished responsibility due to his substance and alcohol use. Originally, he was facing charges of first-degree murder and abuse of a corpse. However, due to a legal loophole, he entered a guilty plea, so he would only be charged with third-degree murder. He was sentenced to 20 to 40 years in prison. Terrifyingly, as he's now been in prison since 2019, and due to his good behaviour behind bars, he could be released in just 17 years.
Seekers, man, what do you guys think? I don't think he should get freaking off like that, man. It's like, bro, like they said, he had a pattern or history of attacking people before, and they said they didn't pick up on him because he just slipped through the freaking cracks, man. I'm telling you, man, the system, sometimes it's fair, sometimes it's not, man. But they had, like you said, he had a history of doing that to people, and he just let it slip through the cracks, and they said due to a loophole, he got that low sentence. And the head could be even lowered again. I'm like, I don't think so, Seekers, man. And he did that to his own freaking mom, bro. Your own blood, bro. Can't trust anybody, man. Family, friends, nobody's the exception. What do you guys think, Seekers?
This is a man who killed his family twice. Gregory Green is a convicted murderer who completely failed at his second chance at life. In his early 20s, he married Tanya Green. It wasn't long into the marriage that Gregory started to show some signs of abusiveness, such as jealousy, anger, and violence. While Tanya was 6 months pregnant with Gregory's child, she threatened to leave him for good once she got home. But Tanya never got the chance because as soon as she got home, Gregory stabbed her with a steak knife 10 times, killing her and their unborn child. Gregory was given a 15 to 25-year sentence in prison, and during his time there, he was denied parole 4 times. However, during his time in prison, he gained lots of support from friends and family and grew really close to a pastor named Fred Harris, who helped him find God, and he was his biggest supporter of getting him out. In 2008, Gregory was released on parole after serving 16 years in prison. And after just 2 years on parole, he was a completely free man. Shortly after that, he married his second wife, Faith Harris Green, who was the daughter of the pastor he was working with in prison. They were married for 6 years, and Faith had a 19 and 17-year-old child from a previous marriage, and Gregory and Faith had a 5 and 6-year-old child. Over the course of their marriage, Gregory started to show the same signs of abusiveness as he showed before, and Faith also tried to file a restraining order but was denied. Things got really ugly in 2016 when Gregory poisoned his 2 young children that were sleeping upstairs, took Faith to the basement, tied her to a chair, and beat her. He then brought down his stepchildren and shot them in front of her. Faith survived the encounter, and Gregory was sentenced to prison yet again and won't be eligible for parole until he's 97 years old.
Imagine getting arrested.
Seekers, man. We know you hear the expression about everybody deserves a second chance, but he literally had a second chance and he wasted it, and it was a pattern that, or a cycle he just could not get out of, man. And to do that to the freaking pastor who was there for you, man, the dog. Sickening case, Seekers. Did that to his own kids, man, and to the stepkids as well. That's just traumatizing them, man. Just like, what's the point? You know, everybody deserves a second chance, but it's people like that that makes people, that's why people sometimes say people don't deserve a second chance, and he's one of the prime examples.
For having a child with a dead body. Jennifer Burrows is a 26-year-old who was working at a morgue when she was arrested after a DNA test proved her child's father was a dead body she was supposed to autopsy. But it actually gets worse from here, because while Jennifer was working as an assistant pathologist at the morgue, she had relations with more than 60 bodies, belonging to men aged 17 to 71 years old. She did this for 2 years until it led to the birth of her son. Her son's father was a 57-year-old veterinarian from Texas, who passed away in a car accident in 2017. Jennifer was charged with 158 counts of indecent treatment of a corpse. Many psychologists and experts have debated why someone would do this. The reasons range from curiosity to severe mental illness. Some even believe Jennifer was suffering from psychosis. Alright, after all that, I don't really know how to end this video, so stay safe out there and follow for more.
This 000 call is absolutely horrifying. It's a call made by 26-year-old Jessica Camilleri after she'd just attacked her mother with 7 knives, taken off her head, and walked outside with it in her hand.
Hello, it's Alison from Police Emergency. We just received a call from this number.
Yes, I need you to get the ambulance and the police out immediately.
To which address?
128 Sunquare Avenue. Please come. I need you. This is I need you. I grabbed the knife from her because I thought she was going to stab me, so I stabbed her back. And I was so heated up with anger, I just kept stabbing her. And I took off her head.
Jessica suffers from multiple mental health disorders as well as ADHD and OCD. Her mother was trying to get her help after multiple incidents of Jessica assaulting people in public, pulling their hair, and threatening to shred their heads. She'd also made hundreds of phone calls to random numbers, saying things like, "I'll come to your house with a knife and shred your head to the neck." On this fateful night, July 20th, 2019, Jessica's mother Rita was at home with a younger relative, a little boy that hasn't been named due to his age. Jessica hated the fact that this younger relative was in the house, and her and her mother got into a heated argument. Jessica dragged Rita by her hair to the kitchen, grabbed a kitchen knife and began stabbing over and over. Each time one of the knives broke, she'd grab another and continue the attack. At one point, the 4-year-old child that was witnessing the attack actually tried to save Rita. He jumped on Jessica and hit her over the head with the lid of a toy box. She threw him off and actually slashed his cheek and his arm and hand in the process. She then continued the attack on Rita. Most of the blows were aimed at Rita's face, head and neck. She stabbed Rita through the eye socket, took off her nose and tongue, and then twisted her head clean off, walked outside with it in her hand, and went to a neighbour's house. She then made that 000 phone call, and when police arrived, she told them, "My mother's head is on the concrete over there. Can you sew it back on?" Jessica's trial began, and the court was played the 000 phone call as well as body cam footage that showed Jessica repeatedly asking police if they could bring her mother back to life and reattach her head. In 2020, Jessica was cleared of murder by a jury and instead convicted of manslaughter after her defence lawyers argued
that she was impaired by a mixture of mental disorders. She was sentenced to 21 years with a non-parole period of 16 years. However, this year she appealed that sentence and she won. Her non-parole period was reduced, meaning she'll be eligible for parole in 2031 when she'll be 37.
See, cause that case that freaking twists and turns, bro. But to hear that freaking call, it's chilling, man. I don't see how people can just do that after they do like a horrific act like that. They can just be so calm on the phone talking and just saying what they did. She took off her mom's head. And the 4-year-old kid freaking traumatized. Like, he even knew, like, imagine it being a kid that young, but that kid knew something was going on and try to help. Like, 4 years old, having to see that. Scarring that kid for life, Seekers, man. Tragic case.
911, what's the location of the emergency? Help me! Yes, what address do you need help? I'm not on an address, I'm on the road, on Myers Road. He's trying to kill me. Which road are you on? Myers Road, Oregon City. Okay, do you have an address? Listen. Be late, come on, get a stop here now. Okay, who's trying to kill you? My husband! He's trying to take a shot. Okay, what? He's trying to kill me, come on. And then, what kind of gun does he have? Ma'am, take a deep breath so I can understand you. Ma'am, I've already got help coming. I need you to tell me wire and what? On plan. I'm on plan. Wire. Just a minute. I'm walking. He shot me. Okay, you're on wire at Glen Viewport? He shot me. Okay, where did he shoot you? In the chest. In the chest? Oh, yeah.
She ended it all. I'm like, you know, the police, they on our phone, like I said, I'm talking. You gotta like try to freaking calm them down, but they going through a traumatic event, so you know they not thinking, man. So you trying to tell a person calm down in an event like that, I don't think that's gonna work. You just gotta try to work through it, Seekers in. But boy, to her, she got freaking shot in the chest and she still was able to make that call. Just to show you the strength that she had. It's a freaking terrifying call too. She had a mate. I guess he was chasing after her in the turquoise truck, and she was on foot. Alright, can you see this?
First ever footage of Madeleine McCann after the event.
Spotted on 4th of May 2007, one day after her disappearance. This girl had heterochromia and was seen some miles from the crime scene.
What the hell happened? We're gonna dive deep into that one, Seekers.
And thin and young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes, each one she passes.
It's the cruel case. What the hell? Seeker, man, these cases, they be flashing sometimes, but the Mr. Cruel case. Tell me down below, man, if you guys got any information on that, man. We're going to freaking look that one up, man, because he says it's a true crime addict, and it's enough for her to keep her up at night, but that case did, so something shocking must have happened in that case. We got to check that out.
This is one of the most high-profile pedophiles in Hollywood, Jeffrey Jones. You might recognize Jeffrey from a number of movies he's been in, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Hunt for Red October, and Beetlejuice. It's highly ironic to me that in a lot of the movies he was in, Jeffrey Jones played the villain, and he ended up being one in real life. So after his career flourished in the late 80s and 90s, let's fast forward to 2002. That year, Jeffrey was arrested for the possession of CP, if you know what I'm talking about, and he was accused by a 17-year-old boy of soliciting him to take nude photos. These charges get even more disturbing when you realize that the young boy who accused Jeffrey of soliciting him to take nude photographs was 14 when the charges were originally brought up and the accusations were made. Jeffrey pleaded no contest to the solicitation. He openly admitted that he had done this horrible thing. But once again, because of legal loopholes, because he admitted to this and pled no contest, that meant that the other CP charges were completely dropped. And what happened to Jeffrey after all this? Well, he got 5 years probation. He also had to go through counseling and register as a sex offender. And yes, if you're wondering, to this day he is still registered as a sex offender. You can find the records of all of this online. But it seems like Jeffrey didn't want to be known as a sex offender throughout his life. For the rest of his life, and he would end up being arrested twice for failing to update his sex offender registration. And in 2006, when working on the set of the movie Who's Your Caddy?, the community of Aiken, South Carolina, where the film was being filmed, complained to the government and complained that a sex offender was on set. This was due to the fact that families had been invited to visit the set with their children, and they had no idea that there was a predator lurking amongst the crew. To this day, a lot of people don't know what this guy has done, and even Justin Bieber posted a photo with him a couple years back, and a lot of people were obviously a little mad about that. And I think it's important to realize that these people are everywhere. They're your friends, your family, your neighbors. They're even celebrities. And at the end of the day, even the people that you look up to and have seen a million times on the silver screen could be the worst people you've ever met in real life. If you like these types of stories, give me a follow or listen to my wife and I's podcast, Murder in America.
This is
Seekers, bro. Like I said, you gotta watch out for people like that. Like, just because if he can play that no guilty concept, like the other charges are freaking dropped. And because, like I said, it's in Hollywood and stuff like that, so you don't know what went on behind the scenes to make those freaking charges drop. But they said he was used to playing freaking villains in the roles he was given. He was a villain in real life, man. The freaking a mirror of his freaking real life. Like I said, Seekers, bro, this media we be watching, man. The people behind the bro, there's always a story to tell, bro. And in real life too. Like I said, we think we're just watching a short movie, but that can affect freaking real life as well. And Justin Bieber took a picture with them? How is he still in the freaking still getting work after that? Behind the scenes, some stuff went on, Seekers, bro. I'm trying to tell you.
It's one of the most horrific stories I've come across, and that takes a lot. It's the story of Otti Sanchez and baby Scotty. Viewer discretion is advised. It's graphic and it's disturbing. Otti was a 33-year-old former healthcare worker in San Antonio, Texas. She'd undergone psychiatric treatment for schizophrenia, and she'd been in and out of psychiatric wards for mental health problems. She was suffering from these problems when she met her boyfriend Scott, who was also in the healthcare profession and also suffered from schizophrenia. Otti fell pregnant, and in July 2009 she gave birth to a son who the couple named Scotty. Scott said she was a brilliant mother. She breastfed her son and cared for him like any mother would. Otti absolutely doted on her son, but after his birth she began suffering from postnatal depression. Her mental health declined and she was admitted into hospital on July 20th. She was released less than a day later, despite the fact that she'd refused to take medication to help with her intrusive thoughts. She told her boyfriend Scott that she was suffering with PND and schizophrenia, and she'd be taking Scotty and going to live with her mum, sister and nieces. 5 days later, she brought Scotty to see his dad, but after asking for a copy of the birth certificate, she flew into a rage, took Scotty in his car seat, threw it into the passenger seat of the car, and drove off. Scott reported this instance to the police, fearing for his son's safety, but the police merely marked it down as a disturbance. By now, Otti was suffering from postpartum psychosis. She'd expressed to officers and medical professionals that she was hearing voices, and she feared she may harm her son. Despite all of her concerns, Scotty was left in her care, and on July 26, 2009, the unthinkable happened.
It's a house. It's an emergency.
And what's going on? What's the emergency?
I'm sorry?
What's the emergency? What's going on?
She hurt her child. Seriously, you hurt her child.
How did you do that? What's going on with the child?
The baby is dead, Jesus. What did you say? The baby is dead. Yeah, the baby. He's 3 weeks, not even 3 weeks old. 3 weeks old? Not even 3 weeks old. What did she do to him? She stabbed him. There's blood all over the head. There's, I don't know. Where's the strap? You said stay there, I'll be there. I'm sorry, where's the strap? She's just sitting on the couch. She's gone crazy last night. She was hearing voices. She kept bringing me the baby, and finally she calmed down, and I took her back to baby. And then now I just woke up to her screaming. Okay, how old is the baby? Not even 3 weeks old. She's baby's dead. The baby's dead. Please, somebody call. Okay, there are other ways for you, okay? No, nobody's dead. It's okay, baby. Just stay right there. Is that your sister? Yes. Oh my God, I can't believe it. You shot yourself? I told you to come to me. Yes, where did she stab herself? In the heart, in the stomach, she says. Where it is? I see a stab wound in her heart, yes.
When officers arrived at the home, they saw a scene that was so horrific they've had to seek counselling. Otti had used 3-bladed weapons to stab, kill, dismember and decapitate her 3-week-old son. She'd then eaten parts of his brain, his foot and his nose, saying that the devil had told her she had to do this in order to kill the demon inside her and stop an apocalypse. Otti had then stabbed herself and slashed her own throat. Otti was arrested and charged with capital murder, but after being examined by 3 separate doctors who all determined she was legally insane, she was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Otti was admitted to a state mental institution where she'll stay until the jury determines that she's not a risk to herself or others.
Bone chilling case seekers. Must be like a scary clown or something. What the hell was he doing? That case before that, the clown seekers, man, still sends a chill down through my spine. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your support, man. Like I said, in order for the seekers to grow, I need you guys to do some simple things, man. Hit that like button, subscribe, comment down below, man. Tell me what you guys think of the video. Hit that post notification bell. That's it, man. Like I said, I appreciate the support, seekers, bro. Been uploading every day this month, man. Haven't missed a day, so I'm really proud of myself for that. Hopefully April, man, we can do the same thing. Keep this rolling. Guys gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, seekers. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web. From YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebooks, man, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank you guys who's been tapping into the channel, subscribing, smashing that like button, man, hitting that post notification. But that's how we grow. That's how we can grow our community. So great, appreciate the support. Let's do what we do best. Seek the truth.
You guys, this is absolutely horrible. Police in Yukon, Oklahoma received a call yesterday at 9:35 in the morning from a 10-year-old little boy claiming that he woke up and found the other 5 people in the home to be deceased. When police arrived, they said it was a total massacre. In a press conference this morning, police announced that 42-year-old Jonathan Candy had gotten into an altercation the night before with his wife, 39-year-old Lindsay Candy, and at that point he got out his firearm and shot her numerous times. He then systematically went through the house and unalived his 3 kids. They're 18-year-old Dylan, 14-year-old Ethan, and 12-year-old Lucas. This is an older photo from 2017, but it's the only one I could find so far. The police said they're unsure why that 4th child was left unharmed. Lindsay and one of the kids was found downstairs, and the other 2 kids were found upstairs, and they said that one of them was in their bed. And they don't know if anybody tried to fight back, but they believe that pretty much as soon as he saw one of them, he just took their life immediately. It was also reported that there was never any kind of history of domestic issues within the home, so nobody really has a clue what made him decide to do that.
He just snapped?
Prayers going up to the family and the friends. I can't even imagine.
Wholesome facts that will make your day slightly better, part 1. When a human sees a puppy, a chemical called dopamine is released in the brain. Elephants also release dopamine when they see people, meaning that they think we're cute in the same way we think puppies are cute. There's a YouTube channel called Dad, How Do I that teaches young people things that would typically be taught by a father figure. From how to change a tire to how to tie a tie, fans of the channel think it's super helpful. When you're on a walk with your dog and they stop to take a dump, you may notice that your fluffy friend is staring at you as they poop. They do this because they're in a defenseless position and they're trusting you to keep them safe. There are more public libraries in the US than McDonald's. After the horrific events of 9/11, a small Kenyan tribe known as the Maasai people gave 14 cows to the US in their support. The man who played Mickey Mouse ended up marrying the woman who played Minnie Mouse, meaning that true love actually exists.
That's true love right there.
These are animals that were scarier than dinosaurs, part 2. The Helicoprion was a 20 to 25 foot fish that existed around 270 million years ago. It was discovered when paleontologists started examining a mysterious fossil that contained a row of teeth and swirls. It was given its name after scientists concluded that the fossil came from a shark-like fish, and it was believed that the teeth were located on top of its nose, while others believed that the teeth were attached to the lower jaw, or even on its dorsal fin or down its throat. Either way, a shark with a saw for teeth is terrifying. Next, the forest racidae is nicknamed the terror bird for a good reason. After dinosaurs went extinct, these 10-foot birds became the top predator in South America for 60 million years.
Really?
Their beaks could easily break the spine of a horse and crush the skull of their prey with one headbutt. They also had the same feet as T-Rexes. And lastly, the Titanoboa is considered to be the biggest snake to ever exist, with a measurement of 50 feet in length, 10 times the size of a green anaconda. It lived 60 million years ago in what's now Colombia, and scientists were conflicted when studying this creature as it defied the laws of gravity. Usually, most land animals don't grow as large as this is because of gravity, but those that live in water don't deal with the same issue, which is why we have creatures like the blue whale. So many believe that the Titanoboa spent a lot of time in water. Not to mention, it also preyed on crocodiles. So if one still exists, stay on land.
Disclaimer, depending on when you're watching this, there might just be a gender war in the comments, which is crazy because we're talking about baboons, so you probably know the deal with baboons, right? Usually the biggest, most belligerent alpha males, the top 8, they're the ones that get the most, while the lesser males, the best they can do is get the scraps. And how does a baboon become an alpha? Oh, easy. Violence. Lots of it. It's like a vicious cycle. If the most aggressive baboons are the ones doing the most gooning, the more baboonery becomes generational. Except the cycle did break at one point. There was a point, I think it was like in the 1980s or something, where a bunch of baboons ate at a garbage dump, caught tuberculosis, and took a permanent leave from life. Oh, they dead. And with a lot of the aggro males out of commission, that left a lot of mild-mannered survivors. Now, you might think they took the opportunity to start big flexing, like on some bully become the bullies type shit. Actually, no, they were in fact chill like that. Now, normally the alpha males would regularly have temper tantrums and would beat on other males, females, and if you were an unsupervised minor, you could really get the Hope to Loki treatment. But nah, these new males were kinder. They would spend more time grooming females, but not like in the weird YouTuber kind of way. They would even babysit for other females. And since male baboons leave their birth troop to join a new one, new members would see this and be like, oh, so this is what we doing? I bet. Basically, there was a whole culture shift, and all it took was the bullies getting blacklisted from the census. And yeah, we're still talking about baboons here. The same ones that jump leopards and eat baby gazelles fresh out the womb. Those baboons, the more you know.
Like I said, the more you know, man. Change happens over time. Prime example in nature.
A high school football star who took his own life after falling victim to a sextortion scam is finally seeing justice. Nigerian brothers Samuel and Samson Ogoshi posed as a woman on Instagram and tricked 17-year-old Jordan DeMay into sending them intimate photos. They demanded the teen send them $1,000, threatening to share the pictures with his friends and family if he didn't pay up. 6 hours later, DeMay was found dead. His last message was, "I'm killing myself right now because of you." Now the scammers have pleaded guilty to conspiring to exploit teenage boys.
The infamous case of the woman that cut off her husband's manhood. When Lorena married John Bobbitt, she thought that it was going to be happily ever after. But in reality, John started hurting Lorena the second they tied the knot. Physically, emotionally, and then he started essaying her. This guy was a huge a-hole. Unemployed while his wife worked 2 jobs, forced Lorena to end a pregnancy that she wanted to keep. Cheating on her. On top of all of that, he would go out, get super drunk every night, then come home and essay Lorena. Then one night in June of 1993, after John essayed his wife and passed out drunk, his wife Lorena went to the kitchen to get herself a glass of water, where a large cutting instrument was in plain view, which Lorena took back into her bedroom and cut off John's member. She then got in her car and left and threw it out the car window, but somehow they were able to find it in time and reattach it after a 9-hour surgery. There was actually 2 trials in this story, one for what Lorena did to John and one for what John did to Lorena, and they were actually both found not guilty. They obviously divorced and went on to live very different lives. Today, Lorena is a wife and mother, and also the founder of her own foundation against domestic violence. After the incident, John went on to star in some adult movies. Today, he's unemployed and has been married and divorced 3 times. And just last week, he publicly announced that after drinking contaminated water, he had to have all 10 of his toes recently amputated, which doctors were unable to reattach.
Is this AI? Netflix is
came
facing
back on
criticism
him.
for allegedly using computer-generated images in a true crime documentary. What Jennifer did details how then 24-year-old Jennifer Pan arranged a kill-for-hire attack on her parents, but what's really haunting viewers is some of the uncanny pictures used in the movie. In one of the photos in question, Pan's hands appear to be missing fingers, and parts of the background look warped. In another, her ears and teeth look amiss. Now viewers are questioning whether or not the use of AI in documentaries is ethical. So what do you think? Is there a serial?
I don't think that's ethical, man, because documentary, that's supposed to be like, you're supposed to have the facts straight, down right to the point. AI, you can use that to manipulate the pictures, the facts, and things like that. So that takes away, I guess, the truth of it, which is the whole point of a documentary, right? To present the truth. This technology is getting too crazy.
Killer terrorizing Texas. 2 bodies have been found in Austin's Lady Bird Lake, bringing the total to 12 since 2022. Police say the deaths are likely accidental due to the lake's proximity to popular nightlife spots, but rumors of a possible Rainy Street Ripper continue to swirl as the bodies keep piling up. While cops have ruled out foul play in several cases, at least 1 death remains unsolved. One local bartender has a hard time accepting there's not something more sinister at play, saying, "I find it hard to see how people could leave Rainy and end up at the lake. You have to walk blocks to get there."
Guys, there's breaking news out of Yukon, Oklahoma this morning, where reports are that 5 individuals from the same family were all found DEAD in their home. Now, I know your first thought is that it was an MS, but the word is that it is not. It was not. This was a very brutal HOMICIDE. The word that I'm getting, of course, this is unconfirmed, but the word that I'm getting is that it was a mom and dad. They have 4 children. 3 of those children were still in school. 1 of those children graduated last year in 2023, and that it was their 10-year-old son who actually made the discovery. Mustang Public Schools there in Yukon, Oklahoma have confirmed that 2 of those victims were students at that school. Law enforcement was called to do a welfare check, and they went in and they discovered what is being described as a very violent scene. There is no official word on the actual cause of DEATH. Sorry, I'm having to spell everything out. I just don't want this taken down. I do know the names of the victims. However, I have not seen that publicly released anywhere. I'm not going to go ahead and share it. I'm going to wait until law enforcement officially gives names, releases names. They are supposed to be giving out more information tomorrow morning. As soon as that information is available, I will come back and share it with you guys.
on that video, Manar Sammy was sentenced to 3 years in prison for the content she posted on TikTok.
No way.
But what exactly was she posting on TikTok that got her sent to prison? Well, nothing out of the ordinary. Dancing, lip syncing, and basic innocuous content. But she was arrested in 2020 on charges of, I'm going to read this to you, inciting debauchery, immorality, and stirring up instincts.
What?
Yes, she was arrested for immorality and inciting debauchery with her dancing TikTok videos. Well, Manar, like I said, was eventually sentenced to 3 years in prison.
No.
This happened back in 2020 when a number of Egyptian female TikTok influencers were randomly targeted and sentenced to prison time. After being found guilty, she was also ordered to pay 300,000 Egyptian pounds to the government. She did eventually get out of prison though, and she's still active here on TikTok and over on Instagram too. I just couldn't believe it when I saw that video and saw that content like that got her sentenced to 3 years in prison. It's pretty wild to me.
Nah, just imagine y'all doing some TikTok dances and man, the police pulls up to you and just say you get 3 years in prison because you were inciting debauchery. You will look at them like, what the hell are you talking about? Different laws in different places in the world. Never ceases to amaze me. She only got 3 years for dancing? Had it. That's one of the most bizarre cases we've heard yet.
Which, Shannon, stingrays are pregnant all the time, right? Who cares? Wrong, because this stingray is in a tank of all other female stingrays and some sharks.
So stingrays are one of the few animals able to do parthenogenesis, which is just cloning themselves without fertilization, aka they need a man about as much as a fish needs a bicycle, which is not at all. And as close cousins of stingrays, some sharks like hammerheads and blacktips can parthenogenesis as well. Komodo dragons and zoos have been known to do the multiplying magic trick too. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know everything. I googled the number, and apparently there's over 80 animals that can have an immaculate conception. But that really shouldn't be surprising. There's an animal that only ever uses this because they got the opposite of a sausage party. They got clouder power. Clouder is a name for a group of cats. This is a whiptail lizard, and every single one alive is a female. There are no males in existence. Where did they come from? Where they all go? Don't ask me. I honestly don't know. If someone more knowledgeable than me wants to drop the facts, please do. I'll pin you. But yeah, they're all female, and they all use parthenogenesis. But the freaky part is they still got it, like, how am I gonna say this? Alright, basically what I'm afraid Godline's finna do to me, these lesbianist lizards pretend to do to each other, because I guess it triggers ovulation. I don't know, bro. I'm still stuck on the fact all the males got snoot off the senses. But yeah, from lizards to dragons, from pythons to water placemats, some animals can Xerox themselves, the more you know.
Damn. Never knew.
Recently, several women have been randomly punched in the face.
A man came up and punched me in the face. I just got punched in the face. He goes, sorry, and then punches me. Punched me in my shit.
The injuries range from a black eye to as severe as a broken nose. The man believed to be responsible is 30-year-old Jean Carlos Zarzuela. Police caught and arrested him, but the court utterly failed. He was quickly released from jail without bail, and 9 days later at the Grand Central Terminal in New York, he struck again. According to reports yesterday, he punched an innocent 9-year-old girl, leaving her dizzy and in pain. As of now, he is currently in jail, but if the court failed to keep him locked up and removed the bail, who's to say he's not going to be released again? With that being said, if you are a woman living in New York, please keep an eye out for this man as he's extremely dangerous.
Former cop showed up at the school yesterday during dismissal and took the life of his ex-wife, and then he fled. And looking for him, the cops went to his home, and then they found his 17-year-old girlfriend there, whom he got pregnant at 15. She was unalived also. Now, this happened in Washington, and the age of consent in Washington is 16 years old. So he was due in court yesterday to answer to charges of him impregnating her at 15, as well as taking advantage of her friend who spent the night at their home. So the 17-year-old girl had moved in with him, and she had a friend over that was 16 years old. They was drinking throughout the day or whatever. Then she said that she went to bed with her friend, in the bed with her friend. She woke up to her boyfriend, who's 39 years old, taking advantage of her friend. Like I said, he had impregnated his girlfriend, and when this happened, that baby was 9 months old. But now that baby is he has abducted that baby, and he's on run. Now the 17-year-old's name is Angelica Santos, but they call her Jelly. And Jelly's brother did take to Facebook yesterday because he thought the former cop had also abducted Jelly and the baby, but it turns out that Jelly was in his home unalive. Now, he and his ex-wife do have 2 children together. She tried to change the custody arrangement because she felt like he was a threat to her and her children. She said he was emotionally and mentally unstable. He had been harassing her so much throughout their divorce that she had to get a protection order. On top of going through that, he was also dealing with the issue with the 16 and the 17-year-old that he got pregnant when she was 15. Now, I just hope that in them catching him, he don't decide to take his life as well as that baby's life.
Crazy ass case.
Are you tired that the police are finally going to figure out that you're the one with all the dead bodies in your basement? If so, congratulations, you once again made it to Criminal TikTok, and today I'm going over some tips and tricks on how to not become a serial killing suspect. So if you have a friend who might need this video, make sure to tag them below. Tip and trick number 1, a lot of serial killers, as they kill more people, they get more and more lazy, so they stop driving out as far and get closer and closer to their home. You're basically leading the detectives directly to your house. So make sure as you kill more people, you go further and further away. Alright, tip and trick number 2, ideally you're not even unaliving people in your own country. You see, you might know your own country more, but your own country also knows you more. If you're constantly traveling to new countries and having a little bit of fun while you're there, the police will never look in the right place because they always expect someone who lives there or had a connection to the victim to be the one that did it. And also think about it, when was the last time you heard of an international serial killer? You haven't, because they never get caught. Step number 3, I know it's very hard for some of you to limit yourself, but if you could hypothetically limit your unalivings to 1 every 2 to 3 months, and in different locations, the police will never connect these together, giving you a much greater chance of escaping. Last but not least, a lot of people get caught because they'll commit a completely separate crime, and the police will investigate them and figure out that they're the ones doing the serial killings. Yeah, just don't be that guy. Thanks for watching, and follow for more tips and tricks.
I knew
Look into
I would
his
end up
TikTok.
dead. Those
There's
were the
something
chilling
awful
final
about
words
that.
Laura Cowell wrote to her daughter after falling victim to a Match.com scam before mysteriously drowning. The widower had been in a relationship with a man she met on the dating site who went by Frank Borg for over a year when her body was found in a river nearly 4 hours from her home. Before her death, Borg had scammed her out of $1.5 million. Her car was found 50 miles from her body, and her cause of death was determined to be drowning.
West Virginia man gets life for killing his daughter and son-in-law over an alleged incestuous relationship. On April 22nd, they found him guilty for 2 counts of first-degree murder. This whole thing happened back in 2022, and he will now serve life behind bars. He needs to serve 30 years before he'll be eligible for parole. Apparently, cops pulled up to the scene with reports of gunshots. That's when Carl Cox behind me said he had to wrestle the gun out of her boyfriend's hand to shoot him. However, his story was not adding up. Both of them were lying in bed, and it looks like they had been shot while they were lying down. They also found a few bullets that penetrated through the mattress. So Carl Cox's story behind me was just not adding up. There was also no signs of struggle. So he was trying to frame this entire incident. And of course, a good old surveillance camera caught him walking towards the bedroom with a gun in hand. And he kept lying in court. But he messed up when he told a fellow inmate that he killed both of those people, his daughter and his son-in-law. I'm not sure what his game plan is here. He was lying to the court but telling others what he actually did. But here's where things make sense and get really, really disgusting. One of his children came forward saying that he was having an incestuous relationship with his daughter that he shot. So I guess he got jealous that she had a boyfriend or husband and then went and killed them both. Now that is absolutely disgusting, and that makes a lot of sense with this story. Let me know what you guys think about this case in the comment section below, and as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Crazy. The things people will do. I get freaking when they get jealous. But that was just a disturbing relationship in itself.
This is the creepiest unsolved mystery because this man is still out there. Like, they never caught him. The media called him Mr. Cruel, and he was a predator from 1987 to 1991 in Australia. This literally looks like a creepypasta, but I swear it's not. He had 4 attacks, and they were similar. He was either abducting children or abusing them. He'd stalk his victims for months to plan out his attacks. Like, listen to this. So all of these pictures are like real police sketches of what he supposedly looked like, which just makes it so much creepier. Like, this is his first attack. He was armed with a knife and a handgun. He was wearing his mask. He broke into this house at 4 a.m. and he locked the parents in a closet and tied their young son to the bed, cut the phone cords in the house, and did unspeakable things to the daughter. All very young children. Another attack, he broke into the home with the same weapons, the same description. Also at 5 a.m., like very similar times, he bound and gagged the parents, and then he abducted their daughter. He addressed the daughter, her name is Sharon, by her name. Which is alarming because it's like, how did he know her name? Does he actually know the family? No one knows who this guy is. Maybe this was their neighbor. Similarly, once the family was able to free themselves, they went to the phone and all the phone lines were cut. Next day, they found their daughter walking around with a trash bag. She said that she had been assaulted many times and tortured in unspeakable ways. And he gave her a bath after and clipped her nails and flossed her teeth so there wouldn't be any evidence. Also, this is all for educational purposes, of course. When the last victim was abused and abducted, her family put out a $300,000 reward if she was ever returned. And they involved the police, but she was never found again. They ended up finding her skeleton years later. Like, this guy walking his dog stumbled upon her skeleton, and she had 3 wounds in the head. All of these attacks were very calculated, and there was no evidence. There was literally no evidence. This man was so smart, no one could ever identify him. He thought of everything. And they think that they found evidence, they think they'd have a lead, they question people, and then they'd get thrown off. They narrowed it down to 30,000 suspects, and then they watched them, and they questioned 15,000 of them, and every time they got a lead, they'd get thrown off. So no one ever knows who this man is. He might still be out there, he might be gone by now, who knows? If you like my content, follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more. It really helps when you interact. Also, go check out those other platforms, because you know what's going on right now.
This is probably one of the most hated people on the internet right now. Mr. Beast did another competition where ages 1 through 100 compete to win $250,000. During one point of the competition, they spun a wheel, and whatever number it landed on, that was the number of the person that then got to decide the fate of all the rest of the contestants whose number the wheel landed on. Number 43 was in charge, but had number 42 in their ear, basically telling them, just eliminate everybody. Now, before the contestants were eliminated, they had the chance to plead their case on why they should stay. And then it finally lands on number 11, which is an 11-year-old child.
You are a kind person. And you are kind enough to not eliminate me.
Save Gio! Save Gio!
Then
we had 42 in her ear saying,
Don't do it. Now's not the time to develop a heart, okay?
43 responds and says, okay, and proceeds to eliminate number 11.
So much. You are literally the coolest 11-year-old I've ever seen. You've got tons of energy and spunk, and your future is super bright. But unfortunately, your time here is over.
And number 11 cheerfully leaves the game. However,
that's cold-blooded.
Towards the end of the game, they blacked out everybody's queue. And if only one person left their queue, they would win $250,000, which was what the prize was to begin with. But if another person stepped out, they were both eliminated and no one got the money. Well, number 42 yelled, I'm going to walk out of my queue, which meant if anyone else walked out, then they both lose. So 42 steps out, and at the very last second, 58 also walks out, just so 42 doesn't win.
She said you ain't getting that money, my guy.
If you've been following, you know Alicia was abducted from her bed by 16-year-old Aaron Campbell. He's just been moved to an adult prison where he says he is terrified that he'll be targeted for what he did to her. You see, on July 2nd, Alicia was actually on vacation, visiting her dad on the Isle of View. He and his girlfriend reportedly watched Peppa Pig with her before bed, and like everyone there, they left the house key in the front door. Now, meanwhile, about 5 minutes away, then 16-year-old Aaron was celebrating the end of exams. He had about 15 friends over that night, but by 12:30, he reportedly got into a fight with his mom, and his attitude changed. One of his friends actually came up to his room to check on him, but he just insisted. After going to get some substances, he'd be fine. His friends then ended up leaving his house, and he texted the couple who was known to sell him said substances. And that was Alicia's 26-year-old father and his girlfriend. As we know, at 1:46, Aaron texted Robert like he always did, but with no response after 6 minutes, he decided to head over there himself. He then walked the 5 minutes to Alicia's grandparents' house where he lived, and armed with a kitchen knife, he simply walked inside. Alicia's bedroom was actually the closest room to the door, and as soon as he saw her, he, quote, knew that he had to kill her. From here, Aaron picked Alicia up, and he started walking with her along the shore. She actually woke up at one point and asked what was going on, but he told her he knew her dad and was just taking her home. Instead, he took her to the old site of the Kyles of Butte Hotel, where he inflicted 117 catastrophic injuries. Tragically, a coroner would note that he violently shook her, and he took his time. Now, come the next morning, when Alicia wasn't in her bed, the entire town started searching. And then, around that same time, her dad and his girlfriend of course saw that they had this missed text from Aaron. They called him back that morning to ask what he needed and to see if he could help look for Alicia, but he responded, quote, it doesn't matter anymore. And oh damn, I'm sure she's not gone too far. Now by 8 that morning, a local searcher found Alicia's body, along with all of her clothing had been thrown into the sea. Her funeral was held about 5 days later, but her mom wasn't the only mother there upset. Aaron's mom was there too, and she actually wanted to do anything she could to help. So she offered to check her family's security cameras. Now when Jeanette checked these cameras, her heart sank, because there was her son leaving at the same time Alicia disappeared. She immediately went to ask him about it, but he must have had a good explanation. She ended up taking that footage and giving it to police in an effort to clear his name. As we know, while police initially brought Aaron in as a witness, he eventually confessed to the crime in detail. He was charged with murder on July 4th, but as if it couldn't get worse, he then said he was quite satisfied with what he'd done. He was then legally disowned by his parents, and for the first time in Scottish history, a judge ruled to release the juvenile's name. In the end, Aaron was sentenced to 27 years in prison, telling psychologists that he'd been having dark fantasies for years. He's already been hospitalized several times from attacks at the Young Offenders Institution, which may explain why he was training every day for this move to adult prison. Again, reports state that he knows he'll have a target on his back for what he did to Alicia.
This woman poured boiling sugar all over her husband's body, and this case is absolutely mind-blowing. This case takes place in England on July 14th, 2020. Karina Smith was a 59-year-old woman and was married to an 81-year-old man named Michael Baines. I tried to find pictures of Michael, but I think none are available on the internet. Michael was in need of care due to his poor health, and because of their difference in age, Karina was able to become his primary caregiver. The two had a child together named Michael Jr., and Karina had another son and daughter from a previous relationship. But in 2007, her son Craig took his own life at just the age of 25. Before his death, he went to prison for attacking a man. Following this, Craig became distressed and spoke to his mother. He said the man he attacked was a predator, and that a predator had touched him inappropriately in the past. He said, "Mom, he's a predator." Shortly after this, Craig took his own life. Karina had formed a relationship with Michael while he was in his 40s and her in her 20s. She said the relationship was positive at first, but that was until his age began to become more noticeable. And things started to deteriorate as he aged, but despite this, she still provided Michael with the care he needed. On the 13th of July 2020, people who knew Karina said she had been acting differently and was described as angry and very upset. This was because her daughter had opened up about some horrific trauma both she and her now deceased brother had experienced at the hands of their stepfather, Michael. Karina's daughter told her that when they were younger, Michael would take advantage of them both and would touch them inappropriately. After Karina heard these allegations from her daughter, she remembered what her son told her about being attacked by a predator. The guilt of Craig's suffering from such a fate stayed with her for years, and a deep rage began to burn inside of her. On July 14th, 2020, at around 10 a.m., Karina returned to her home that she shared with Michael. She entered the home and grabbed a bucket, along with 3 kilograms of sugar that she had just bought. She then began to boil a large amount of water, creating a boiling syrup. Once this concoction was ready and scalding hot, Karina slowly entered Michael's bedroom. Michael was fast asleep and totally unaware that his wife was standing over him holding a bucket filled with boiling sugar. Filled with rage, Karina began to pour the boiling sugar all over her sleeping husband's body. Michael woke up and began to scream as the liquid destroyed his skin. This mixture of sugar and boiling water is often referred to as prison napalm, due to the horrific burns it can cause. Once the bucket was empty, Karina ran over to her neighbor's house, which was 9 doors down. She banged on the door until the neighbor answered. Karina didn't know her well, but told her what she had done. The neighbor called the police and explained what happened, and when the police arrived, they entered the home and found Michael whimpering in bed with skin on his arms and torso beginning to peel off. Michael was rushed to the hospital and Karina was arrested. Karina was then asked why she did this to her husband, in which she explained what her daughter told her, and that she became so enraged that she poured the liquid all over her husband. Michael was able to be stabilized but suffered burns to 36% of his body, and 2 weeks later, Michael passed away from his injuries. Karina was then charged with murder and was then found guilty of murder, and she was sentenced to life in prison, with a minimum term of 12 years. Cases like this always cause division. To some, Karina was a hero and someone who took revenge to protect her children, while others see her as a reckless murderer who killed her husband based off one simple allegation. So let me know your opinion on this crazy, crazy case.
Man. That kids told her, she just snapped. And when that rage boy's inside of you, you don't know what it will make you do. Guys, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a truth seeker, seeking the truth. I really appreciate that, man. Can you guys subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, also hit that post notification bell. Have you guys noticed I've changed it out my style, man? Like I said, you guys told me to quit the pausing. I like trying to limit to 3 or 4 times a video. I'm letting them play out. Hold my thoughts till after, man. I said stop saying seekers, so I'm gonna stop saying that. I'm gonna say it a couple of times, man. But that's our community, man. That's what we called, and I just want to grow that, and I know we can do that together. So really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, these changes are coming to the channel. Guys, stick with me, man. We're gonna end April off strong, man. Can I get a like clapping emojis in the comments, man? I haven't missed a day of April. Haven't missed a day yet. Daily uploading. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one, man. I love seeking the truth with you guys. Peace, you dude.